All right, we're live from Tech Alley, January 2025 edition, first of the year. I'm here with Dave Berlin, my co-host for the day here at Tech Alley. Dave, would you be so kind as I do the talk about the sponsor, Taverna Costera, and all the great things going on at Tech Alley? Would you be so kind as to listen and see how we sound?
Oh, yeah.
On the it's always if you've never done a live podcast from a venue like a restaurant like we're in now, it's always a little bit of a pickup game to know if we're coming out live, if we've got good audio, if we've got good videos. So Dave is taking care of that. But while we're doing that, I want to thank our hosts at Tech Alley for the day, Taverna Costera, here at the corner of Charleston and Main in fabulous downtown Las Vegas. They are the gracious hosts who provide all the coffee, water, the lunch, the free lunch if you are a Tech Alley guest that you can get if you come down and visit us during Tech Alley. And if you do come down, if you are in Las Vegas, we always do this the third Saturday of the month. It's our meetup for the tech community. It's our meetup for entrepreneurs. It's our meetup for investors. It's our meetup for anyone who's really interested in business in Las Vegas. And I am lucky enough that they allow us to do a live stream from this. And I believe this is truly the best networking event in Las Vegas if you're interested, not just if you're interested in tech, startups, investing, crypto, all of the great tech things that we do here and talk about at Tech Alley during the sessions, but also if you are just want to make connections, whether personal or professional, in Las Vegas. So it sounds like we sound great.
We sound great.
We sound great.
And somehow it's muffled out the copyrighted music.
Yeah, and I am very excited we don't have to ask them to turn the music down because we are getting
I bet they're more excited.
We're getting a really, really nice mix of mid-90s alternative, which is when American rock music attained perfection and has been on a steady decline ever since. So
they played Lump earlier by the President of the United States of America, and I totally forgot that was even a thing.
When was the last time you heard Lump?
Oh, I have the CD at my house, so now I have to rock it.
I have the CD somewhere in a box in my garage. It is that song is probably on this phone somewhere and is certainly in my library, my digital library, because it was ripped from a CD years ago.
Now that we're gonna if we're going to go deep on a rabbit hole, then I would say there's a song on that CD that most people have forgotten about. It's the Little Salamander. Where did you go?
That
Edge
album
of the yard.
All through late '95, and
I'm just gonna go.
I had in my 1995 Acura Integra.
There it is.
I had a 6-disc CD changer.
Hatchback?
They were all hatchbacks.
Oh man! That was a
unless
great
they were
car.
Convertible. There
were. You had an Integra, so now I know
that
exactly who you were.
That was
what
we in the Air Force call a lieutenant mobile, where they tell you like in ROTC, don't go spend a bunch of money on a car and get yourself a big car payment.
Acura Integra and cash money.
And all of my brand new lieutenant friends immediately did the opposite and went and bought all the cars we wanted. So it wasn't a terribly expensive car, but when you're, I think my first full year in the Air Force, I made $24,000. So, I mean, it was a significant chunk of my monthly income to make that payment, but totally worth it. But yeah, I had a 6-disc CD changer, and for most of the late '95 and '96, it was Goo Goo Dolls, A Boy Named Goo.
Yeah,
Presidents of the United States of America. That album, I think that was the self-titled album that Lump was on. Collective Soul, the self-titled album, and a couple other things that rotated out of. But those three, Alanis Morissette. I'm trying to remember what the other ones were, but there was a rotation. But those were the albums I listened to. Those albums Space Hog over and over and over again in '95 and '96.
If we're going there, I'm just gonna go. So
welcome to Music Chat. Forget about Tech Alley.
Right? No, I had the range. Right, I had Tupac, and I had Marilyn Manson. But fun fact, most people don't know this. Tupac was not the first double CD. There was the first rap double CD was not Tupac, it was actually Wu-Tang, and I had that one as well. Wu-Tang Forever. Just saying.
Yep. So we're talking about Tupac. We're in Las Vegas, and Tupac is always a topic here because of what went down almost 30 years ago. Which there's interesting court cases and all that kind of stuff going on. But I'm always amazed. Dave has to go take care of something. I'm not sure. I think he's ordering something from the bar here. Probably food, because Dave Dave is sober right now. He's making a conscious choice. So what I am always impressed with is Tupac was only born a couple of years before I was.
Yeah.
He wasn't that much older than me.
He was only 25 when he died.
Yeah, and he accomplished so much between like the age of 19 and 25. Like I look at he died at the age of 25. That was 1996.
Yeah, it was. It
was
September 13th,
I was
1996. In case you were wondering,
I was 22 when that happened. So he was 3 years.
You missed my fun fact.
I heard September,
13th.
whatever it was,
13th.
1990, September 13th, 1996. I didn't miss it. I just,
Yeah.
but point being, he was 3 years older than me. And I think almost 30 years later, I think Tupac accomplished more between the time he was 19 and 25 than I still have accomplished since then.
On the movie All Eyes on Me, if you just look at the last slide that says it's like the little carousel of all the things that he did, it's insane.
It's
Absolutely
unimaginable what he accomplished between the age of 19 and 25.
Yep.
And
I watched all the interviews with him. And okay, so now it's relevant to Vegas a little bit, right? Because he did die here. And I stole that quote, right? He said, I never said I would change the world, but I will certainly spark the mind that does. I say we don't have to change the world. We just have to change the way the world looks at Las Vegas. So here we are. We're doing that at Tech Alley.
And we're doing that. So since I've already spilled coffee on myself, I've managed to do that today. Let's move from Tupac into tech. There has been
Tupac into tech.
And we can go back to Tupac. If you guys want to hear us talk about Tupac, put it in the comments. I'm trying to check the comments over on the laptop as we're talking here. I think I need to go back to the days where I have the laptop sitting in front of me on this. We're gonna have to maybe test that out.
You can do comments on this.
You can get the comments in, and then depending on what
platform
the comments come in on, if you type back in the StreamYard window, it will get, like, if you do a YouTube comment, I believe I can respond to your YouTube comments.
Wow, that's cool.
But like if you do a LinkedIn comment, if I type into this window, I don't think it goes back out.
So let's see if the first person that types a comment or asks a question in the chat, I'll buy you a coffee here at Taverna Costera.
But you have to come down to Taverna Costera at the corner of Main and Charleston in downtown Las Vegas. And you have to listen to Dave talk about Tupac for 30 to 45 minutes.
30 to 48 minutes.
30 to 48 minutes, sorry.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened here in Las Vegas in the tech community just since we sat down and did this in this very same spot a month ago for the December edition of it.
They definitely got rid of the Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's gone.
Let's give a moment of silence for the Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas. Just kidding. you bastard.
But we have had. Did you get enough sleep last night, man?
I feel great.
You are bonkers.
I feel great today. Actually, I got too much sleep. I was in bed by 9 o'clock last night. I did wake up at 4:30, and I have no idea why. Probably because I went to bed at 9
o'clock. I had a night like that earlier in the week, and I felt so great, but I was not happy that I was up at 4:30. But I just got up and did it.
So I had some friends that were in town last night from Oklahoma. They said, "Hey, come down to the Strip." I was like, "Okay, great." And I said no. I just sat at home.
Yeah.
And then I did decide to leave, and I don't know what was going on downtown or down on the Strip, but I went to park, and everywhere, even the hotels were $60 to park.
Oh, there was a night skate. No, wait, but they were out of town. So
yeah,
I don't know what it was.
I have no idea what was going on, and then I just told my friends, I was like, I'm not coming, and I left.
If you know what was going on the Strip last night, more so than a regular Friday, put it in the comments for us, because we
$60
like most Las Vegas locals, we have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah.
So, yes. So where do we even start? Do you want to start with CES?
Yeah, CES. I think everyone had a different experience. My experience with CES this year was a little bit more removed. I did attend a few of the events. We attended a few of the Fusion 42 events.
We hosted a couple
of great
live streams from a couple of events. So
I feel like
let's start with that, because that was fun. We did that together. Did
you hit the floor? What was like the coolest thing that you saw?
Oh my God. So I think I talked a little bit about this last time. I've certainly talked about it on my own podcast and some other things. But I was able to get a media pass to CES because of the podcast, which is fantastic.
Notice how he says I, not we. I'm just kidding.
Well, next year. I probably could have asked for 2, but you would have had to carry all my stuff.
I know.
And I was trying to. I mean, I was trying to be like cool and lean and like I'm a Gen Xer, but I was trying to be like a Gen Zer with my phone and my selfie stick and my wireless microphones, etc.
I've been leaving my house with my phone, keys, and wallet lately, and it's been liberating.
Isn't that great?
It's been liberating.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I need it, I don't need it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm struggling with I like to be able to document stuff and throw people on camera when I can, but I also really do love to leave the house with keys, wallet.
Yep.
Honestly, I kind of would like. I mean, all this '90s music is making me feel like maybe I don't need to take my phone everywhere.
Yeah, true.
We certainly managed to do things without phones 30 years ago. I don't know how, but we managed.
I found this woman on TikTok, and rest in peace. I think TikTok might go away, but everyone's freaking out on TikTok. And there's this woman that does all the Gen Z and Gen X. Like, she just like comments on all of it. And there's this guy. He goes, when you boomers talk about drinking out of the fire, out of the hose, was the sink just not available? And then this woman's like, should I tell him? Do you want me to tell him? She's like, we weren't allowed in the house.
Yeah, we weren't allowed in the house. I mean, we've talked about it on this before. I know I've talked about it on other podcasts before.
And now
not so much during the school year.
Yeah.
But when summer vacation came around, do kids still have summer vacation?
I think so.
Yeah. So when summer vacation came around, parents would wake us up, feed us breakfast. They might let us watch some cartoons in the morning, but by about 8 a.m. we were kicked out of the house.
Yeah.
And we were told, do not come back until dinner time, and I will call you.
Yeah.
Or unless you are bleeding or have a broken bone.
Yeah.
Try to get one of your friends' moms to feed you lunch.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. That was what a typical summer, and we did, and and it was. I mean, and because we were free range kids.
Yeah. Free range kids.
We might sneak back in the house and watch some TV or something in the afternoon or what, but because we were free range kids, like we would have to be called in to come to dinner usually because we're kids. Kids don't eat that much, right? So, we would be called in to come to dinner, and then we would have to be called in again. Like when the street lights came on, that was kind of the signal to come home.
Well, she even said, like, if for some reason your parents, you didn't have to come home then, or you didn't come home and they just still didn't care, it was at the 10 o'clock news that they would say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yep. Yeah. So believe it. We were not allowed is not the right word, but discouraged from being in a house between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m.
and then
during summer vacation.
And then for many of us, you found out later in life that it's because our parents were at home smoking weed.
So, I mean, mine were not, but they certainly were. They certainly were enjoying the benefits of their children being somewhere else during that period. Of course, both of my parents worked, so it was get out of the house and here's your key, but don't go back in.
I guess that's a perfect segue into now all of the technology that we have in what's different for kids these days is now you have young adults and even kids that are using AI to like trade stocks and build supercomputers and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and some of them are here today.
Some of them are here today.
I haven't seen too many teenagers here today, but that's one of the great things about Tech Alley is it's for everyone. It's for getting everybody in the community involved, from 8 to 80 kind of thing. And we've had kid entrepreneurs here, some as young as like 9 years old, with like Rico and the popcorn, right?
Yeah. That kid, he can't be 9 anymore. He's got to be like
no. I mean, that was like
13.
3 years ago, but
we'll keep saying he's 9.
He was like, well, I mean, it's a better story that way. Right.
As soon as you get into 13, it's just like,
yeah. So,
Next.
But yeah, it's for entrepreneurs of all stripes, and Rico came up with this popcorn business because he allergic to gluten.
Yeah, something like that.
And so he had to kind of create his own snacks, and popcorn was one of the things he could have. So he, on his own, created all these like flavored popcorns, and then started selling them, and his like doing gangbusters with his business. He's probably 12 now, I would guess.
Yeah. Yep. We'll have to do the research on that.
So CES was fun.
Yeah.
The coolest thing, I'm trying to think back because I edited the videos, I posted the videos, and I'm kind of flushed. So one of the cool things, I don't know if it was the coolest thing, but there was a company with vibrators that you not just control from your phone, and their method of doing that was novel, but they had it tied to not just like a basic remote, but they had it tied to you can play games.
Play games.
Yeah, so you have a game. You go to their website on their phone. I don't think they have an app yet. The
That's what they were
the
trying to
name of
get
the
funded
product is Fluffer. The company's called Motor Bunny, and they yeah. So you'd go and you could play the game, and the vibrator would respond to what's going on in the game.
That's funny.
Yeah, and so you do it with your phone, but they also have a product. If you have a console gaming system that plugs into your console controller, and now you can
That's
have like
ridiculous.
a gaming party with all your friends
ridiculous.
and your vibrators.
That's ridiculous.
And it was insane. So I have not yeah. So we're gonna move off of that topic. So I have not posted that video up to my channel. We talked about that on another podcast I'm on. I was saving that for that podcast.
How many podcasts are you on?
I'm on 2 now.
Okay.
And then there's this
I'm on
live
2.
stuff that we do.
Yeah.
So so we're gonna move off of that topic. But that was interesting. I don't know if that was the most exciting. What I find really exciting, and this is just me personally, having been an engineer and being involved in the tech startup community, the technologies that enable other technologies are the ones that are really interesting to me. So there was a company called Neuronix. They're out of Scotland. And well, they're an international company, but the folks I was talking to was out of Scotland. And they create all these devices that sense neural movement. So like you can control a prosthetic with like the wristband that they have. And it uses all kinds of like very fancy quantum mechanics, quantum tunneling technology to pick up these little movements of your muscles and your veins and nerves and that kind of stuff to articulate different things. So that was a very cool technology because that's going to enable a lot of things. There was a company called Noki, and they have earbuds that have all these very tiny motion sensors in
I'm
them.
gonna help him. He's lost.
Okay. They have all these tiny motion sensors in them, so you can control devices just by very, very tiny muscle movements in your face. So, and so you'd put them in, they look like regular earbuds. And what you do is you like can tighten your clench your jaw or tighten your jaw or blink your eyes or that kind of stuff. And so the earbuds let you control devices just by the muscle movements in your face. And their goal is kind of be a direct competitor to these companies that want to put these chips in your head, because they have a product that will let you do that same kind of control, but with your small muscle movements in your face instead of putting a chip in your brain.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was a cool company. I feel really bad because the video didn't go through, but there was this company I interviewed. They had translator software that works like directly with your FaceTime or directly with your Zoom or whatever it is, can translate into 120 different languages. So we demoed that. What else? Some really interesting technology to help like robots see. So we've got some introductions to make some of the robotics companies in town, because their video demo is like helping an articulator arm see what it's doing, and we know companies in town that actually have articulator arms. So I've got to make a couple introductions there. There were so many cool things. I'm trying to think back.
What was the coolest like display? Like somebody said that like the VCR was announced at CES like
probably
years and years ago.
That was when the VCR came out in the 70s and 80s. That was the only way. That was the only way you could announce things.
Yeah. Was that
right?
CES?
It was press releases and tech shit and trade shows.
I need a VCR. If anybody has a VCR, please connect with me. I have 2 ancient artifacts.
Now, are you picky? You want to play a VHS tape?
I do. I want to play a VHS.
So it's got to be VHS. Don't bring us a Betamax.
Yeah.
or do it just we can't use it for this, but maybe we'll sell it to somebody. But what do you want to play on VHS?
So I have 2 VHS tapes. One is it's
welcome to Old Tech Alley.
It's the documentary from EDC 2000. I actually have the official documentary from EDC 2000. But I also have this VHS tape that I made on June 27th, 1997, a day in the life in Pryor, Oklahoma. and it's just me and my friends like shooting guns and driving around.
I feel
driving around in a 91 Eagle Talon.
I feel like we're gonna watch this, and this is gonna be like remember the very first Ty Lopez video, which is just like Ty Lopez screwing around for a day.
Me in my house.
Yeah, just a day at my whatever it was called, a day at my house or hanging at my house or whatever it was. Like the very first YouTube video ever, a day at the zoo or whatever it was, right? So yeah, we're talking old tech here at Taverna Costera, corner of Charleston, Maine. Beautiful downtown Las Vegas. Get on down here to Tech Alley. If you're in Las Vegas and you're interested in tech, drones, crypto, AI, we've got some folks doing some marketing talks and branding talks today. If you're an entrepreneur, come on down. We do it the third Saturday of every month here in Las Vegas. It's always here in the area around Taverna Costera. So come on down. If you're not in Las Vegas, you're going to be here or you're planning on coming here, build your trip around the third Saturday of the month.
That also reminds me is we now have Tech Alley in Henderson.
Yes, we do.
Which that is, I believe, is it the last Wednesday of every month? Let me look.
The regular schedule is a little bit of a pickup game now. In January, it's going to be January 29th. And
is there a reason why it's different?
I think they have a schedule they're trying to do, and
okay.
I think it's like the second Wednesday or the third Wednesday. And there was a conflict with the venue or a conflict with something else going on with City of Henderson, and they didn't want to conflict with the other event going on. So Lorraine Yard, who is the founder and I guess franchisee of Tech Alley Henderson, decided to move it, which is great because this was last week and this week were kind of busy weeks for tech in Las Vegas anyway, and bumping that to the end of the month certainly helps my schedule personally, and that's what I'm all about.
I love it. Yeah, I'm good with it too. I think it works out well for me this week. I went to the first one. I think were you there at the first
No,
one?
I couldn't make it there. I had another. I don't even remember what it was. I didn't make the first one, and I didn't make December's. I had conflicts for both of those. Cannot remember for the life of me what those were. I just know I couldn't go, and so I'm all in for January. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the phone, and I'm gonna bring the interview mic, and set up and just like with the selfie stick, like I did at CES, and talk to some folks when we're not in the middle of the talks and that kind of stuff. It's a little bit different setup than Tech Alley downtown Las Vegas, but I'm excited to go there and I'm excited to capture some of the experience for. I don't know if I'll do live. Maybe I'll do live. We'll see how it goes.
I don't know. We'll have to check it out. We'll have to check it out and see how that would work out. So
now that we're done with our old tech segment. I mean, were you done with the old tech segment?
I'm done.
Do you have any,
I'm just thinking of that
cassettes you want to play?
Oh, I have cassettes, but I have boom boxes for those.
Oh, that's right. You have boom boxes.
I got the boom
boxes.
Do
you need any D batteries?
I always, yes. If you would like to donate D batteries, I'm always accepting donations. Those things are like $3 a piece right now.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what a D battery is, you know how your phone has a battery that you recharge? Well, prior to like the 1990s, nothing had a battery that recharged. Yeah. You had to participate in this massive scam that the battery companies came up with, where you had to buy disposable batteries and continue to throw them out and buy new ones.
Yep.
Why we did this for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, I don't know. No, I do know, because rechargeable battery technology wasn't that good until about the 1980s.
Right.
But thank you, Tech Transfer from the military. But
I reached out to the boombox company of one of the boomboxes that I collect, Lasonic, shameless plug, and I told them, I was like, seriously, we have the technology to do rechargeable boomboxes, and now the latest version of the 931 is rechargeable, but they downgraded everything on it, and now it's just garbage. They need to have a booth at CES.
Oh, they might very well have. So back to CES. CES is thousands and thousands of exhibitors.
Yeah.
How
many is it? Like all of the halls?
It is almost all of Las Vegas. It's not like it was back in the 80s when it was really all of Las Vegas, but it was every hall at Las Vegas Convention Center, which if you've never been to Las Vegas Convention Center, it is massive. It takes up what would be the equivalent of like 10 city blocks or something like that.
It's big.
Massive.
We'll just say that they actually have, if you haven't done the Tesla Loop, they actually have a because the convention centers are so far apart, like each hall is so far apart. Like the South Hall is actually on the other side of Desert Inn. But essentially you have a Tesla Loop, which is a underground like transportation system
built
that
built
is
built by the Boring
built
Company.
by the Boring Company, and it's
not
literally
not a great name.
it's driving. It's like it's a little-
Elon didn't think that one through.
but
That's why I'm convinced Elon isn't a genius.
yeah,
Because he was okay with that being the name of his
he's
company.
listening to us.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he's listening to
He's
us.
gonna shut us down. No, so there's a person that there's like I don't know how many Teslas they have, but they'll literally drive between. So you could take a Tesla loop under the the West Hall, under the West Hall, and it'll take you to the South Hall.
Yep.
Which would take you. Let me be very clear: to walk from the South Hall to the West Hall by the route that you have provided, it would take you probably
15 to 20 minutes minimum.
30 minutes
Yeah,
to walk
it's
there. Some
big.
of the halls are 30 to 40 minute walk.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that you
Like
it's
the
not
main hall is
yeah.
probably a 20-minute walk from one end
Yeah.
of the main hall to the other. No
Yeah.
joke.
So the Tesla loop will take you under, and those Tesla loops go under each of the halls, and they go back to Resorts World. It's the only hotel that it goes to right now. So you could and then they said that by the time all of this project is done, you'll be able to take a Tesla loop from the convention center to the airport as the crow flies in 8 minutes.
Yep.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So yes, so Las Vegas Convention Center is huge, but don't answer yet. Because CES is also at the Venetian Convention Center, and that's where I spend a lot of time because that's where the emerging technologies are, the startups who are looking for investment are. I made a whole list of folks. We're going to have Tarby Bryant on here. He's going to talk about Gathering of Angels and Las Vegas Equity Capital Symposium coming up here in April. But I have a whole list of him for companies to, if there's still room at the symposium to look at or to approach for Gathering of Angels. Lots of companies that are really ready for investment. They've in fact have already taken some pre-seed investment or some seed stage investment. So
Yeah, we went to that last week too.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
we did,
was that this week?
that was this week.
That was
I mean,
this
so
week.
we're not even out at like day one of CES yet. So CES was fantastic. I saw some amazing companies. If you want, go to the Jason LeDuc Leadership Consultants YouTube channel. I've posted the videos. Like I said, I still have one more from that first company we were talking about. We're going to keep it family friendly here for the folks sitting in the restaurant. In case you I don't want to turn the camera around, but what you can't tell is that there's a full working operating restaurant behind that camera, and there are probably a dozen people in here partaking.
Yeah.
So when there's Chef.
Yeah.
How you doing, Chef? You want to tell us what we're getting for lunch today at Tech Alley?
He doesn't know.
Oh,
That's the way it should be, Chef. You
hey,
should be able to
we
go home
love
every night
surprises,
and
so
not to know anything that's happening.
we
I love it. Yeah,
it's always something good. So if you're here in Las Vegas and you're interested in tech, come on down to Tech Alley. Make sure you get signed in. You've got to be signed in to get lunch. But Taverna Costera are wonderful sponsors who help us out with Tech Alley. They provide free lunch to everybody who's attending Tech Alley. So come on down. That usually gets started about 12:15 or so. So in addition to going around and getting to see as much as I possibly could of CES, and trust me, like you can't see all of it. It's like Disney World. You can't see all of it.
Yeah.
But it was great. Saw so many companies. Go check out those videos on my channel. You can see all the things I got good video for. I had a couple. I had that one company that I really wanted to get, and the video turned out bad. Operator error on my part. And then I had a bunch of like snarky, like comic relief comments I made that I was going to intersplice into the videos. And those all got messed up too because of my incompetence operating a smartphone. So, but the audio was great.
I love it.
But last week we also did 2 events for Fusion 42. Right now, Kurt Walker, the founder of Fusion 42, is doing his Tech Alley talk, Who's Got My Money? It is probably, if not the most popular talk at Tech Alley every month, one of the most popular talks at Tech Alley every month. And that's where he brings in, most months, he's usually bringing in an established founder or an exited founder who's raised money successfully and grown a successful startup. Talk about, to give people an idea of how they can gain investment money or other kinds of money for their startup. This month, they're doing something a little different. I think they're doing a kind of a Shark Tank style pitch thing where they're grilling founders like deep into the business fundamentals of their business, and in that way helping founders get ready to pitch.
Yeah, when we did the Fusion 42 thing, I actually ran into Kurt last night or the night before. It's so funny at the Fusion 42 event. Like, this was a little bit more ruthless than I've seen in the past. They only had 2 minutes to pitch.
Yeah.
And there was one where it's like the very first person that went, and then the first judge or whatever just hammered them and was like, here's what you should have done. And he gave them an example. Their example was 4 minutes long. And I was like, first of all, they have 2 minutes to pitch, sir. And then my antenna and guard was up. And then by the third person that he just like shredded apart, I was like, you know what? He may be right, but I just let all the air out of his tires in his car because that dude was a jerk. I get it. It can help, but I mean, I don't know. Go back to the Marine Corps. That was like worse than Marine Corps boot camp, the way he was just like ripping people apart. And I was like, somebody could just punch you in the face.
What I always go back to with that is every investor is different, right? Every mentor is different. And that's
his money.
That's that investor style.
Yeah.
That's that mentor style. That's not a good fit for everybody.
Yeah.
And one of the big challenges, depending on where you are in your journey raising money, sometimes you're not really ready to raise money. And that's where a really good mentor who's understanding and can say, before you start working on your pitch, you've got to work on these things, right?
Yeah.
What are the things we talk a lot about on this stream, on the other podcasts I'm on? You'll hear me talk about it with Kurt if he comes on later. You'll hear me talk about it with other folks. And it all goes back to my experience being one of the associates and investors at Rebel Venture Fund. Is you've got to talk to 100 potential customers minimum. It's not negotiable. You really don't know about your product market fit. You really don't know if people are really interested until you've talked to 100 people.
Yeah.
And every entrepreneur, including myself, was like, do I really need to do 100? And what you're going to learn between talking from 0 to 10, you're going to learn things that are significant. You're going to learn things that are significant about what you're pitching and what your product is and what your business is from 10 to 20. You're going to learn, there's kind of going to be these chunks. And that chunk you learn from like 70 to 90 is going to be 70 to 100. Those last 30 people you talk to, that's going to be huge for you because you're going to have already talked to 70 people and you're going to build on that experience. So it's really important that if you've got a business, especially if you're in tech, especially if you're trying to sell a product, that you talk to those 100 people. And a lot of folks have not yet. And they've been doing their business for many, many years.
And also 100 people outside of your circle. Like, a lot of people go to friends and family for money. A lot of people, and that's fine. But like, do not, unless you have friends and family that are very deep in that industry, don't go to them for advice because, and this is a little bit too personal, but like a lot of times your friends and family it's not that they don't believe in you. It's that they're protective of you.
Yep.
And they want to protect you from getting your feelings hurt, which some of these investors will hurt your effing feelings. Like that guy, I really wanted to hit that guy with like a tire iron. But it's funny because they'll like, no matter how amazing your idea is.
I'm laughing because I've seen worse.
Yeah. I know how like your idea might be amazing, but they're going to be very protective and they're going to give you advice that's going to not help you launch because that launch is scary.
And that, so I look back at that, and with that particular gentleman, his advice was great for somebody who has already talked to that 100 people, who has already kind of established their product or should have, it was sometimes that's really what you need to hear when you're a little further along. Like when you're trying to move from that friends and family money to pre-seed stage, or from seed stage to, like, sometimes that's really what you need to hear. You need someone to give you a really frank, direct assessment of where you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you need, but that's not what we had a lot of people pitching that night.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And I've looked at pitching a lot differently. As you know, I always talk about the Shark Tank generation and the Shark Tank economy. I feel like a lot of people have been sold this dream that if they work hard enough or they have a big enough sob story and their idea is good enough and they pitch it to a panel of investors, somebody's going to give them $1 million and then it's game over. And that's just it's not the case, but I forget about this now because I'm just now getting into the rhythm of it. Last year, I became a a pitch advisory board member for South by Southwest, and I reviewed like 97 decks or something like that. And out of those 97 decks that I reviewed, I would say the majority of those were actually thought-provoking ideas. They had done a lot of their research. It's a pretty aggressive application process, and I think you have to pay like $400 or $500 just to apply. So those people aren't it kind of gets rid of the dreamy people, but there were still a few that like didn't even fill out the application all the way, and it was like there's no one on their board, and there's no one that's like giving them advice to further their idea. So I did see some unique trends, and I think there definitely is a place and an art to the pitch.
Yeah, Shark Tank, and I love the show. I watch it every week. Shark Tank can be a little misleading because what you see on Shark Tank is 7 minutes of what is sometimes an hour and a half. I mean, some of those pitches have gone on for 4 or 5 hours. I remember a story where Damon John talked about he was already out on the pitch. Yeah, they were an hour and a half into the pitch. He was already out. So he got up and left, went to lunch over at like the studio commissary, came back like an hour and a half later, and that same pitch was still going on. Yeah, which when you're in media, you can do a lot of really creative editing to show that make it look like Damon John was there during the pitch when he was actually off having lunch. So all that said, it makes it look like all you need is an idea and a great story. And even on Shark Tank, they really get into the nuts and bolts. They really get into the feasibility, the practicability, the business case for some of these things. So sometimes when you watch Shark Tank, when you see this looked like a really great idea and they're all out, they won't invest in it, that there are parts you don't see of that. And so what that gives people an impression is that all you need is the idea and someone's going to hand you money. And there's a lot of like my favorite Shark, and depending on which season you're in, my favorite Shark Tanks are like when they're like, get into the numbers, right? Because that's my favorite part is like, let's look at your numbers, right? You know what? And then they go, I've made $40,000 in sales in 4 years. Yeah. And okay, well, you're not worth the $25 million valuation you're asking for. So now let's talk about what you're really worth, and let's talk about what the business fundamentals, right? Because you don't necessarily need to have a lot of sales to have good business fundamentals and be worth a lot. Yeah. But investors are getting a lot more cautious. They do want to see traction.
And that's the other thing too, is like in this day and age, there's not a lot of venture capital that's really getting appropriated right now. There's not a lot of thing. Now, I believe that's going to change as we shift into a new political environment. And not to bring politics into it, but there is a lot that changes, especially in the world of business. In these different in these next 4 years that are to come. I do believe, and this is just me, right? I'm a sales guy at the core, but to me, it's like the best revenue or the best capital is revenue.
Sales cures everything, right?
But somebody asked me this the other day. They were like, I think it was at the event that we were at. Somebody was like, I don't get it. Why do people pitch? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you see this guy, and it was somebody, I won't talk about the company, but somebody who has like 7 exits. They've exited large million and multi-million dollar ventures. Why are they out pitching? And I'm like, well, it's kind of like, and most people don't know this either. They're like not GoFundMe. What's the old
Kickstarter,
Indiegogo. A lot of times, if done well, and I'm gonna shout out to another Air Force veteran out there, Zach Bob, all the way in Oklahoma City. He actually had a whole company that was helping people leverage Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaigns, because a lot of times you might already have the money, but it's actually another marketing platform. By you out pitching, you're like actually getting your idea out to a whole nother network of people. Yes, you might need investments, but some of those people don't. Yeah. They're just in front of a new group of people that will potentially unlock entire other ecosystems for them to promote their idea.
The startup climate, especially with social media platforms 10 years ago, gave people a really weird impression of how startup funding works and how investment works. To go back to Kickstarter and Indiegogo, I think those are great platforms because what those let you do is test that product market fit. in a, like, we're very fortunate in Las Vegas. You want to go talk to your 100 people, you want to go talk to your 100 people in Las Vegas, you have no excuse, right? You go down to the Las Vegas Strip for an afternoon, you talk to 100, 200, 300 people in the course of a couple hours, and you pitch them on your idea. Is this a product you'd be interested in? Do you like it as it is?
Yeah.
Like, do you have this problem, et cetera, et cetera? You can knock that out in an afternoon here in Las Vegas, and you can do it from a wide cross section of people from all around the world.
Yeah.
Right? We're very fortunate here.
Corinne did that with her mocktails.
Yep.
She went out on the Strip, and she was just like, she's like, you'd be surprised how many people would like drink from an open can.
Yeah, that's a little surprising to me. But that said, we're very fortunate here. Now, if you don't live in Las Vegas, you don't live in a New York, you don't live in a Los Angeles, that's a little harder to do, right? It takes you a little longer to get to talk to those 100 people.
Yeah.
But platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, all those things where you can put a physical product up and say, okay, I'm not going to make these unless we meet our goal.
Yeah.
Then you can start to see who's really interested in it, right? Because there are people who just kind of peruse those platforms and say, what else is out there?
Yeah.
What's out there that I might be interested in, right? So you can, it's another way to validate your product market fit.
Yep.
So those are great. But, you know, for the last 5 or 6 years, kind of starting pre-pandemic, investors have been much more interested in traction. They want it's not enough to just have a platform where you're kind of blowing up on active users.
Yeah.
Like, they want to see, are you selling ad revenue, or how do you make money, right? Because at the end of the day, for investors, that's how do you make the investors money?
Yeah.
Having a lot of users on your platform is great, but if you have no way to monetize it, investors aren't interested. And so what's important if you are seeking investment is, like Dave said, you want to think about why you're seeking investment, right?
Yeah.
Because revenue does really cure all ills, right?
Yeah.
And if you can bootstrap yourself with revenue, you may have a longer process than if you gain investment, right? But I always tell people you want 2 plans. You want the, I'm going to bootstrap and I'm going to get traction through revenue and maybe some other sources plan. And then I'm going to have the plan where if I do find that investor who's going to give me money, show that investor, if you give me $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever that money is, whatever that amount of money is, how you use that to pour rocket fuel onto the fire that is your business, and show them, I can do this on my own. I don't need you.
Yeah.
But if you give me this money, this is how much faster I grow. And this is how I give you a 20, 30, 50x return on your investment.
Yeah.
And understand that and investors understand this. Understand that when you get that first investment, you're probably gonna have to go back and raise another round, right?
Yeah.
But then you have to have this series of plans in your head of, I need $100,000 to pour rocket fuel to get me to this stage.
Yeah.
After that, I need $1 million to pour rocket fuel to get me to this stage. After that, I need 25 million to get me to that. Now we're $1 billion company, right?
Yeah. Well,
but you always have to have the plan of, I'm just going to get out there and grind and sell.
Yeah, you're right. Well, but this is the other thing too, and now we're like in the pitch preach. But if you had 3 different investors and they were all each going to put $1 million into your company, and you could pick from any 3, you will have a different experience with your business from each one of those investors. Some of them are going to be very hands-on and then start to control a lot more of the way that you operate. Some might not. And that's another thing that people have to consider as well. Not all money is good money.
Yeah. It's every investor is different, like we've said. And, we used to talk about, you have to do a little investor dating as a startup founder. You have to get to know the investors. Like we talked about at that pitch event last week, you know, there was an investor who was very direct and very frank with the people, with the people who are pitching. Now that may or may not be a great investor for you, right? That's something you have to decide, right? Are you looking for someone who's a little bit more of a guiding mentor? Are you looking for someone who's completely hands off? Because there are investors who are like that, right? There are investors who are like, here's your money. I'm going to be off doing whatever it is I do. But yeah, so you know, you're gonna, sorry, we're moving some stuff around on the side here. So yeah, every investor is different. You're gonna want to get to know those investors, see if they're the right investor for you. You know, see if they're a good fit, right? Because that money's not going to be worth it if it's not a good fit for the investor And if the investor is not a good investor for you, you're going to have a real hard time building that relationship, maintaining that relationship, and making your company successful. So, but some investors are very hands-on, some investors are very hands-off. We around here know both kinds, and there's everything in between. So if you are a first-time founder, you probably want an investor who's going to be interested in taking some time to mentor you and guide you and sit down and talk with you on a pretty regular basis. If you're someone who's done this, like we talked about at the pitch event we were at this week, one of the founders is a 7-time exited founder. That means he's started 7 companies and sold off 7 companies in various different ways. Like to big names you would know. So it's so it's very important to get to know the investors and choose an investor who's right for your company. It's not just the investor choosing you. You need to be thinking very seriously about the kind of investor you want to be involved with and how that relationship is going to go. So, so last week we did a live stream before, and we didn't do it after from the pitch event, but the next night we did something super fun, and I think it was a first for the Las Vegas tech ecosystem, or at least a first as far as I know, the top startup awards that Fusion 42 put on.
Yeah, that was a cool event. I really I didn't get any awards, neither did you. I'm just kidding.
My award was getting to put on a suit and do a live stream and interview everyone who came to the event.
That was good.
That was my award.
Yeah, no, that was great. I think that's just like anything else, right? It was the first one of its kind. If they continue to do that, it'll just be something that we can anchor more people to. I think that's the power of events, right? It's never, the first events, it's just getting them out there, getting the date on the calendar, and then it starts to build community around that.
Yeah, and the awards were like, I don't even think they did a top startup award. They were all like community builders.
No, the startup award, at least the one that, it's funny, the one that was the best one was for Corinne, for Lotel Mocktails.
And that was the top startup,
Yeah,
right?
that was the top startup.
Yeah, that's right. But she wasn't there, was she?
She wasn't. And it was a little last minute for that event, but she'd already had that date booked out because it was a busy week.
Yep. So that was super fun. So those are all out under the live category of, I think they're on Pursue Vegas as well as my channel.
I believe so.
And I don't remember if I put them on Tech Alley or not. But they're out there. They're certainly on my channel. I believe they're on Pursue Vegas. They should be in the live category. I didn't go back and clip anything from any of the interviews, because the audio with the music in the background with those microphones, it was kind of choppy. So the live ones are there. I'm probably not gonna just because I don't think there's anything I can do to clean up the audio. Even though we did record everything at 4K on the video, I just don't think they're going to be great to listen to, but they're there. So we're learning as we go on some of these events, but that was super fun. The venue, 100 Nights, I believe is the name of it. They were super gracious to us. They really helped us out. And were great hosts for the event, and I hope we get to do more stuff with them in the future. So
I hope so.
So what else happened to CES? There's so much going on. Those were the 2 nighttime events I did, and I was kind of wiped out Thursday, Friday of CES week. So
yeah, it's definitely it's here we are. It's always right out of the gate of the year that there's all the big events going on. We have SHOT Show next week, and it's barely the end of the month. Like it's. Yeah, well, I don't even know what the date is today. 18th?
Today is the 18th. SHOT Show is this week.
Yeah.
AVN is this week.
January is literally the longest month.
It's the biggest convention month.
It's the longest month of the year. And it's right out of the gate of New Year's. So everybody else is like just trying to get caught up, and it was just right out of the gate.
That's what we do here in Vegas. We get that gas pedal down starting the first week of January. So, so CES was fantastic. And then this week, we also we didn't do it live. I recorded a bunch of interviews with the founders who were pitching at Tarby Bryant's Gathering of Angels event this week. So we saw 4 pitches. What I really like about Gathering of Angels is the pitches are 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think I think less than about 10 minutes is too short for a
Are they
pitch.
15 or 5?
They're 15.
Oh, okay. So he
15
gave
minutes,
5-minute warning. I got
Yeah, 15 minutes and then 5 to 7 minutes worth of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's really great is Tarby has everyone who shows up, whether you're an investor or a guest or whatever, fill out an evaluation form of what you thought of the pitch and the company. So the founders really get a lot of feedback, not just from the questions that they get, which are always great because there's always a lot of investors in the audience.
And he mentioned that the 4 people that pitched this last week are like on track to get some money.
Yeah, we're gonna have Tarby on as soon as we can find him. We're in the first round of talks here at Tech Alley, so Kurt Walker's doing Who's Got My Money. I don't remember what the other ones are. I barely looked at the agenda today. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't come down to Tech Alley just because I didn't look at the agenda.
Yeah, right.
Right. There's always great stuff going on.
techalley.org.
Let me you talk for a minute. Let me see if I can find my agenda and pull it up.
I bet you can.
And tell you what is going on today.
Yeah, there's so this year is already shaping up to be a pretty busy one, a pretty active one, not just here in this community, but at least some of the stuff that I'm working on and we're working on through Vets in Tech is going to be interlocking some of the other communities. Vets in Tech is based out of Silicon Valley. And since I live here, Jason lives here, and Ikram lives here, shout out to Ikram, COO, we're going to be building some incredible resources here. One of the big focuses for Vets in Tech is the Vet VC group. So there's a whole group of veteran venture capitalists that they have a big dinner for in Silicon Valley. They have a big dinner for in New York City. And after meeting with Ikram this week, she wants to have a big dinner here in Las Vegas, probably around the fall, early fall, before we get into the hustle and bustle of, Global Entrepreneurship Week and things like that. But also this year, Freedom Week is going to be in July 7th through the 13th. So you can mark your calendars now. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff leading up to this, but it worked out great last year. We had 7 events. The big event was launching the Veteran Entrepreneur Library. We had the news come and do a segment about that. We got the proclamation signed from the governor's office. That actually has now caught national attention and some international attention, but more specifically national attention. We're probably going to be doing 4 more Freedom Weeks this year. It's looking like Philly, Tulsa, Dallas, and potentially Austin, and we'll be launching some more of those veteran entrepreneur libraries. And there's 2 powerful things that happens there. One, we have those flagship locations in those communities, but it's also something that in time will start to build an even deeper connection through some of the startup communities. And that's what this is all about, right? It's how do we maximize the energy that we have in our community, but how do we also build a coalition with other startup communities? Because one thing that I've learned is what is it they say? A prophet's never praised in their own city.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's like
never appreciated in their own city.
Yeah, you could be, speaking from the rooftops here, and people are like, all right, that's just Dave, doing his little veteran thing. But like in other communities, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yep.
And then I could go to another community and it actually builds a lot of foundational work between
somebody
the
in that
cities.
community saying the same thing you said.
Exactly.
You come to town and saying like, that is gold.
Yeah, this is the best thing I've ever heard. And there's probably somebody pissed. Like, I've been saying that for 2 years.
All right. So I probably should have led with this, but this is what's going on. This is the first round of talks. We're in the middle of this now. These are going for about 20 more minutes. Who's Got My Money with Kurt Walker. So if you're interested in getting investment for your company or finding other ways to fund your company, because Kurt's big on, besides giving up equity to get money, other ways you can fund your company. That's going on right now. Innovation Essentials hosted by UNLV. Karma Hunter's doing that. Agile NV with Will Wang is going on right now. The Las Vegas AI meetup with Timothy May is going on right now as well.
Yep.
So if you're in Las Vegas, you want to find out about, learn more about AI, come on down for that. And then Caleb Green is doing his thing. He's a startup attorney. He helps people get their startups funded, do the paperwork, all that kind of stuff. He can answer a lot of questions for you if you're getting a business started, how to do it properly, especially if you are in tech or you're looking for investment. Then at 12:15, we're going to start lunch. As I said, lunch is free if you are attending Tech Alley.
You still got time to get down here.
You still got time. You got 20 minutes to get down here. Lunch will start. It's always delicious. It's always amazing. But come on down. Get signed in. You got to scan the QR code. Be an official Tech Alley attendee, and Chef will feed you, and it's always great. That goes on from about 12:15 to 1:15. Then at 1:15 we have the second round of talks. Josh Stacy's doing demo time. We have 3 companies not pitching their companies for investment, but pitching, this is what we're doing. I think our good friend Ben Lafsky's doing one of those. We have a couple other companies coming in and pitching, hey, this is our idea, this is what we're working on. It's always a fun session to see what people are working on. Our good friend Victory is doing the drone session at that same time. Gina Naknak is doing the social marketing session. We're going to try to grab her on here at lunchtime to tell us a little bit about what's going on at her session. UX UI with Valerie Kana is going on. And then if you are a Python programmer or want to learn about Python, that is going on with Howard Feldman at that's all 1:15 to 2:30. And then the last set of talks, we've got Sin City Developers. So if you're a software developer or would like to be a software developer, come on down. Check that out at 2:45. Our good friend Lee Jackson is doing the Tech Alley Youth Hour. That's where we highlight the young, like we said, sometimes as young as 9 or 10 years old entrepreneurs in Las Vegas, highlight their stories, highlight their achievements, and try to get them the help they need to really grow their businesses. Our good friend Eric Lacasse is doing an Untold Truth about search engine optimization, SEO talk at that same time. And then our good friend James Roop is doing the blockchain self-custody talk at that time. So if you're interested in blockchain, Bitcoin, NFTs, anything related to blockchain technology, come on down for that. Come on down anyway. Come on down now. Get here before lunch starts. Get yourself in the line for lunch. Join us for lunch. Come talk to us on the live stream. We'd love to talk to you about your impressions of Tech Alley, and spend the day with us here at Tech Alley. You know, if you're in Vegas and you're interested in tech, you really got no excuse not to.
It's a nice day out too.
It's gorgeous.
I woke up and it was like 41 and they're like a high of 62. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was a lot warmer than I expected it to be today when I stepped out of the Jeep here and into the sun. And
we
said,
did get the memo on the green sweaters though.
Yeah, we did. So
if you're wearing a green sweater,
I don't know who
down.
sent it, but if you're wearing a green shirt, come on down today. That's the memo today. So Freedom Week is coming up in July. We talked about that.
Yep. Yeah. What are the other things? Oh, well, we'll let Tarby talk about that because I know he's.
Yeah, I don't want to steal his thunder, but Las Vegas Equity Capital Symposium is coming up in April. 20 pitches, 200 to 250 plus investors over a 3-day span in April. We'll let him get into more details about that, but that's going to be exciting. What else is coming up around the community here in the next couple of months?
I don't know, man. I'll be honest. Like this first month being as busy as it is, it's kind of fried my brain. I'm good. I'm still okay. I'm ready. It's a kind of a week to week thing. I know the big stuff that's mapped out, but like if you ask me what's going on in February, I have no idea.
Well, let's skinny down a little bit. Instead of what's going on macro in the community, let's talk a little bit about Pursue Vegas.
Yeah.
Because you guys have a new season of a podcast just about to come out, or are the first ones out?
Yeah. So I got to tell this. There's a really cool story that's surfacing here. Actually, 2. And I hope they come full circle today. Like today, we talked to Tarby, right? Tarby's a veteran entrepreneur. He's an investor. And what did I do? I sent him a link to the episode that I did with Ikram because we had Ikram on the show.
Yep.
But here's the story that it's really cool how this has happened. After pandemic, I had this vision for Pursue Vegas, and I wanted to show the world like a different side of Vegas, especially since we were coming back from pandemic after being closed down. So we did like 5 episodes to kind of capture the essence of a different part of Vegas. So we did some stuff about First Fridays in the Arts District. We covered a couple different restaurants. We really dove deep on the entrepreneurship side of stuff whenever I was working with Bunker Labs. And the cool thing was it was very high production value, but there was no call to action. I wasn't trying to do anything crazy, but because there was no call to action, there's no revenue. Yep. Because there's no revenue, now there's no money for production. So it was a beautiful project that just got kind of put on the shelf.
Beautiful project with some lessons learned. So
lessons learned.
What did we learn from the first round a couple of years ago?
Well, we learned like 1, that the community matters, but 2, it's like if you're going to build something, I'm not saying you got to make money right out of the gate, but you probably need to have a more cost efficient way to get some content out there. So because that same project,
that's the difference between art and a business, right?
Right.
We could do Pursue Vegas podcast simply as art and never
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah.
where the money's coming from or how,
Yep.
like, just keep sinking money into it
Yep.
and make beautiful videos and podcasts,
Yep.
right?
Well, and that's the cool story, right? So a couple years later, that was 2021 that we shot that stuff in October, and here we are. We're now in 2025, but it was last year we decided to pull that off the shelf. And very quickly, I just asked some really incredible people, hey, would you be willing to come on a podcast? We wanted to do a podcast version of it, and of course, everyone said yes. Lisa Song Sutton said yes. Ikram, Netta,
Corinne.
Nasruddin, Corinne, all these incredible people, Michael, Unbroken, even Josh Molina. Josh Molina from Makers and Finders was on the original segment, and he came back, and it was really great. Well, we shot 12 episodes in 1 week over at a friend's studio. It was in the back of his office. He wasn't renting that studio out, but half the people that came through were like, oh my gosh, I'm shooting at home. Can we use the studio?
Yep.
And he wasn't renting the studio out, I totally get it. So I referred them over to Trevin over at the video podcast studio in Henderson, who is just kicking butt right now. And as soon as like half of those people ended up booking with him and I was the referral, he said, hey, why don't you come over and let's talk? So we actually worked out, and they're sponsoring us for the next 24 episodes for season 2. We've already had some incredible people on the show. We had Tim from the Vegas Key, the Las Vegas Key, or the Key to Las Vegas.
Yep.
We had him on the show. We had Edgar Rodriguez. We had Brandon Mills. We'll have you on the show.
Yep.
But now that's rocking and rolling, really excited to continue to capture the essence of what's going on in the city. It will have a little bit of a kind of a lean towards events.
Yep.
So that kind of opens up the ticket for people that are also coming through Las Vegas that host events here. But really trying to continue that message of, really I want to connect the people of our city, so together we can show the world who we really are. That's the mission. The vision is that we don't have to change the world. We just have to change the way the world looks at Las Vegas. And I hope that more and more people really get to not only understand what it's like to live in Las Vegas, but what is it like to bring your business here? What is it like to bring your family here? What are the things that most people don't see? And I think more and more people are continuing to come off the Strip and really, really dig into the Arts District and things like that.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what this vision is for. How does an event help your business, whether you're coming from outside of Las Vegas or like let's focus on folks who are in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of business owners are not thinking about, I need to do an event or I should do an event. So
yeah,
like what's the vision here? What do you want to help, whether you're a business,
not outside.
Whether you want to help, whether you're a for-profit business, whether you're a nonprofit, whether whatever it is you're doing, how does a Las Vegas style event help you, no matter how big or small you are?
Yeah, well, there's a few things. Are you talking about people that are coming from out of town?
Let's talk about it's all same,
Oh yeah,
right?
so yeah, how do we leverage?
Like the why is the same. The method is a little bit different whether you're in town or out of town.
Well,
right?
I have to start with the core of it, and this is business aside or not, because you know how I feel about relationships. Shout out to Mike Kim. That's a funny thing too. We always shout out to Mike Kim. Sorry, Mike Kim. We ran out of time. Mike Kim is a phenomenal human that has taught me a lot about personal branding.
Someday Mike Kim is going to show up here and push you out. I'm going to push you out of that chair and put him in it.
I know, yeah, and I wish we could. Mike Kim, you should come to Vegas right now.
Right now,
before lunch. No, so he says
you got 12 minutes to lunch.
Relationships are rocket ships. So let's start first. Like if I live in Las Vegas. This happened last week, actually. I don't even know which show it was, because there was a couple shows in town this last week that weren't CES. It was like trade shows. Like I say trade shows. It was like there was one show that was just like all the little like swag and stuff like that, right? So it's like the cutting edge. What's on the cutting edge of that gadget marketing and stuff like that. Then there was also the military supply show. I don't know. There's a couple of them.
There's always a couple of shows in Las Vegas. I mean, all year round. It used to be convention season with like October through May, and then when it got hot, nobody wanted to have their convention. But there's only so much space, and so many people want to have their convention or their trade show in Las Vegas. Now it pretty much runs year round.
So what's interesting is I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see this woman who we're still Facebook friends. We had to have met 2014, maybe 2015, back when I was in Tulsa. And this is weird. I saw her picture and where she posted it, and I was like, holy crap. I could tell where she was at. She was by the Westgate.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the Sterling Club in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just texted her. I was like, hey, what are you doing? I'm in Vegas. So we went and had dinner, and it was great because she's still doing promotional products, but she's very much specifically now niched down into doing it with car dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was great to reconnect with an old friend. We used to network back in Tulsa, but like now that she has that specific niche, I was able to connect her to somebody that I work with in Indianapolis who works for Nissan Group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you never know like what kind of those relationships you could foster.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not always going to be a sale. Like I didn't broker myself in the middle of that thing. Like to me, I'm just like, I hope you had a good experience in Las Vegas outside of the normal trip activities. Like I just want to be a good steward for my city and do that. But like if it turns into business for somebody else, great. Now that's a relationship that I might have, that comes full circle next time I'm in Indianapolis or next time I'm in Tulsa. So that's one is like the relationship capital is you could very much leverage that here. From a business perspective, that can also turn into transactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that a lot of people have asked me, because I've helped other people do this, is now I want to be somebody on the ground that can help somebody that's coming in from somewhere else, hosting an event, whether they're hosting a big conference or if they're an exhibitor at that conference. Sometimes it's taking people off the showroom floor and doing just a private dinner somewhere that they might be able to, really showcase and create an experience for their potential partners or clients that step outside of the showroom floor. And hopefully that's going to be something that not only does that help a local venue like Taverna Costera or Taru Sushi or Double Zero Pie or some of these places that I have like a personal relationship with, we can leverage, shop local, right? And then also those people are getting a great experience and they're shaking hands and moving the needle in their business.
Yeah. So one of the things, like when you go to a trade show like CES and you're an exhibitor, you get a list of who's showing up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know this because as someone who is media for CES, I started getting emails from all of these companies who are emailing the media email list. But if you were, let's say you're attending a trade show, whether you're local or out of town, right? You're going to get the list of all the folks who are attending CES, the speakers, the et cetera, right? That's all knowledge if you're an exhibitor, right? So you can go through that list and go, oh, these are people who are key players in my industry. Yeah. I would love, it's in my budget to do an event, to have a dinner event or a cocktail party event or some kind of event, right? And I can invite 30 people, right?
Yeah.
And so here's kind of my priority list. Like I'm going to invite these 30 people, and then if there's still room, like if they turn me down, I'm going to keep working down the list.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, and there's an art to all of this. And this is something that I've known forever. And now I'm going to kind of take that off the shelf and package that in a way that people can actually learn and apply this while they're here. But the first article I ever wrote on LinkedIn in 2013, maybe, was an article about how to maximize your time at trade shows. I used to do 30 trade shows a year when I was in the wedding industry, and I actually leveraged partnerships and all that stuff across 5 different cities, growing a wedding DJ business. Out here, we've talked about this before. It's not just inviting the key people that you want. It's also capturing that event video and like showing a recap of what that was, because there's going to be some people that either are already going to something else and they can't come to your thing.
Right.
But they're on your list. You've now, just by inviting them, you've started a relationship that is different than just trying to call the decision maker, and get to the decision maker and ask them about selling your widget or your product or service.
So capturing an event, what is it that you want to capture about your event? Because nobody's going to sit there and just watch the static video of like a room of people circulating. What do you want to capture about your event what's the goal?
Yeah.
And then so what's the goal of capturing this? And then what are the real things you want to capture to tell your story?
So I'll give it to you. But I'm gonna do a PSA, and I've wanted to figure out where to do this PSA. This is gonna be a great place. You're gonna have to chop this up.
That's why I'm asking you this question.
So PSA, if you're coming to Las Vegas and you're hosting any kind of an event or you need any kind of coverage, do not, under any circumstances, reach out to me and ask for me to introduce you to 5 different videographers if you have 0 budget. Right? I'll come back to that. But there are some very basic things that you want to cover, and this is just
I'm going to caveat this.
Yeah.
Don't come in
asking for
in anything
favors.
in life expecting to get things for free.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Understand what you want to accomplish, and what your vision is.
Yep.
Ask reasonable questions about what that would cost.
Yep.
And then there's room to negotiate of our budget is only this, or can you give us a break?
But
right, because for the right cause, Tech Alley is one of them.
Yeah.
I haul all this equipment down here. We do all this. This is not insignificant to set this up and do this for the day. But I love doing it because I love the tech community here, and you do as well. And this is why we do this, because it's important for the community. So don't expect things for free. Understand what your budget is, and understand, just like an investor who's going to come in and go, I'm going to put in $100,000, but I expect 10 million out.
Yeah.
Understand what you expect the ROI on doing your event is, right? And then that's where you start to negotiate.
Well, and also, like, this actually happened once. Somebody reached out to me, and it was during the Super Bowl week. It was this coach consultant guy from San Diego.
Mhm.
He's a veteran, so he got connected to me, which is great. But he basically said, hey, I need somebody to come shoot, like, influencer style, follow us around. We have, it was like, 14-hour days shooting.
Yep.
And his pay was, they're going to get to meet all these football players. I was like, first of all, none of our videographers get starstruck. We don't care about any of that stuff.
We live in Las Vegas.
We live in Las Vegas. But I was like, no, bro. I was like, the conversation starts at food and parking.
Yep.
You're covering food and parking, or I'll hit you with that tire iron.
Especially if it's going to be a 14-hour day.
Exactly.
Right? If you want somebody for 2 hours.
Yep.
All right, maybe you don't need to feed them, and maybe
no, you definitely need to feed them. It's always going to be food and parking.
All right, new rule: if I'm doing anything for you, food and parking.
Food and parking. But then also, I got the guy to figure out, like, it was $200 a day, which is so low. But I made that guy say that.
To give you context, we pitched something a couple of weeks ago, and we pitched ourselves at $100 an hour for hosting and videography, and that is on the low end of a host or a videographer in Las Vegas.
This was $200.
It's actually below the low end.
This was 6 days, $200 a day. But I'll say this, because it was the week before, the likelihood of here's what can happen. Then I can share this out in my network very easily and just say, hey, I know this is an ask, but we need somebody who's willing to shoot 12 to 14 hours a day, $200 a day, food, parking covered, and then they're looking for influencer style stuff. When I put that out, I actually had 11 people come back and say, hey, I could do this. And it wasn't to dilute their brand. Some of them were very new, but the other guy, to be honest, the guy who did it, he was supposed to move that week and he didn't. And because he didn't move to San Diego, he was here.
Yep.
And it was great. I mean, it actually worked out great for everybody because he shot pretty good stuff. They got everything that they wanted, and he made $1,200.
Yep.
Now, I'll say that, like, there's some people that are $1,200 for a half a day.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not going to send you to all those people and like let you burn my name and then start asking them for favors. Hey, because I'm friends with Dave.
It's why we need to understand your budget, right?
So all of that.
If your budget is $200 a day, we're gonna put the word out, and see who responds.
Yeah, good, fast, cheap. There's this amazing poster. You could look it up. Good, fast, cheap. You have to pick 2.
And you've got to understand, like, your vision might be, I've got multiple camera angles with lots of quick cuts and music and really fancy edited stuff with graphics. And when you start to add, okay, instead of one video, if I want multiple angles, that's usually more than one videographer, right?
Exactly.
Especially if you want moving mobile.
It's how they attain this stuff.
If you want that kind of quick professional music video style editing, you need someone who's got a little more editing talent than I have to do that, right? And that usually doesn't come free, and certainly doesn't come. Editing's not expensive in the grand scheme of things, but it's also not free. So
to answer your question, here are some of the things that you want to capture. You definitely want to capture people. Like I'm not gonna call them out, but it's funny. I showed somebody 4 photos that I took of somebody speaking out there earlier, and I asked them to take my photo, and I showed examples of that. And the photos that they took of me were just of me. Like there's no people,
no crowd,
in the crowd,
no
anything.
doesn't look like you're talking to
anyone. It's so you want to show that people attended your event. Right.
And that's not something you like. I had to learn that. Right. I had to learn that when we started all of this with the podcast. So I was like, oh, this is a fine picture of me. This would have been much better if I had captured the backs of heads of the 50 people standing. Like take a little focus off of me and put a little focus on there were a bunch of people here.
That's what you're trying to show, is that you know how to bring people together, right? So you want to make sure that you get people in the shot and show that people were there. Another thing that you really want to get is testimonials. So what I do is I have a panel of questions that I pull people over to the side, and I ask everybody the same questions, but I have them answer it in the form of the question. So it'll say like, hey, if you could use one word to describe Tech Alley, what would it be? And they literally say, if I could use one word to describe Tech Alley, it would be connected. Like, I feel like because I'm here, I get connected to everybody in the city. And like, you ask that question multiple times and have everybody answer it, and then you could splice all of those words together. Like, if I could use one word to describe, you would say connected, invigorating, accelerating, all these different things. And then you have the supporting stuff too. And then another really cool question is, one thing I didn't expect, right? And then everybody answers that. One thing I didn't expect when I attended Tech Alley was the food, right? The food was phenomenal. And then they'll go off on that whole thing. And then you have all these different things that you can pull from, and you can actually turn it into multiple different videos. So and those are just a few things.
And you can set that up as something you can catch people. Like I love to do red carpet things, right? So you catch people on the way in, and you get all those questions out of the way. And then now you're not interrupting the main program of what's going on. All that kind of, and then if you've got the time and the budget for it, you catch people on the way out, right? You catch them what they're excited about going in. You catch them what they learned and what they're excited about now they're coming out, and now you've got multiple bites at the apple. But you always want this to be something that augments your press for your event and getting ready for your next one, as opposed to something that takes away from the main event.
Well, and now imagine if now you could put that together in a full video, then it shows the people that are up speaking. If you have people speaking at your event, now back to the point of all those people that you invited to the event, as soon as you get that video turned over, you can now send that to them and say, hey, in case you missed it, here's what happened. And now you now have a second touch to building that relationship. Now you can start that conversation. Again, all of this is beyond just saying, hello, I would like to talk to the decision maker, please. It's you're inviting them to something. Now they've missed something that you put together. And now you can invite them again, and you start to build a different type of
and now they've got a bunch of other people telling them why they should come to the next one.
Exactly.
So, I can't emphasize enough, when you do this, put these out on social media, tag the people, but also make that available. I always, for all of my podcast guests, if they want it, I make all of the clips that I create available to them so that they can repost those clips. And as long as they tag me in the podcast, I'm happy, right? Sometimes guests will ask, can I have the raw video of the podcast? Of course you can have the raw video of the podcast, right? Yes, I would like to sit down with Tarby and talk about some stuff that went on and is coming up. Would you track down some folks to come talk to us? Absolutely. Right. Would you QC the stream as well while you're out there? Mr. Bryant, how are you?
How are you, sir? Nice to see you again.
Always nice to see you. I feel like this is becoming much more regular. We're seeing each other a couple times a week.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tarby Bryant. He is a lifelong entrepreneur, lifelong angel investor, lifelong venture capitalist. What he has forgotten about entrepreneurship, investing, venture capital, I would love to learn the things he's forgot about it. He is also an Army veteran, Vietnam veteran,
Yep.
former intelligence officer. As we talked about the other night, S2 spells trouble. So
That's right.
at least in my opinion. So you've had a bunch of amazing things happening lately. You have a bunch of amazing things coming up. Where do you want to start?
Well, we had a very successful gathering of angels on Wednesday of this past week. We had actually 4 young companies from actually all over. So they were from different states outside of Nevada. Didn't have any Nevada companies on Wednesday, but
So Nevada companies get on that because
That's right.
we do it every month.
that's right. You can change that. So they were all very different. They were all very exciting. I spent a good deal of time preparing them for their pitch. They had 15 minutes to give their presentation, followed by 5 to 7 minutes of Q&A, and then the red carpet interviews, Jason, that you run.
Yeah, there's a gentleman who interviews every presenter at Gathering of Angels. I think he's really good. But yeah, we're gonna get some clips of that up. They're gonna be up on the Gathering Angels website. Give us a little background on Gathering of Angels. Why is this important for our ecosystem here in Las Vegas?
Well, the Gathering of Angels is 29 years old. I started it in Santa Fe, New Mexico in October of 96. Same situation in New Mexico that you guys have here in Nevada. There really weren't any angel groups there. There weren't any venture capital funds there. There wasn't an ecosystem. You had 3 national laboratories. And so I created the Gathering of Angels there, spread it all over the country in 2000, do it only here in Las Vegas now, but I've got angel investors all over the country. So one of the companies that presented on Wednesday night, Stack out of Brooklyn, New York, presented here in August, presented again in January. I introduced them to some of my Savannah, Georgia angels, and on Thursday of this week, they're going to get a $3 million investment from part of my angel group in Savannah, all the way across the country.
Well, I think that that's going to get them pretty close to filling their round, which is great. One of the things I think is great about what you do with Gathering of Angels is that you do 2 things that I think are great. One, you bring in companies that have the business fundamentals, so they are really ready for investment. And if you've ever been part of an angel group, sometimes you see a lot of pitches for companies that have great ideas but aren't really quite ready yet. So you do a great job of that, of bringing in, kind of screening these companies to bring them in. And then you coach them, right?
Yeah.
They've done the work to build the business, and then you coach them to build a great pitch. Why are both of those things so important when you're pitching investors?
Well, I would say that about 90% of the interest I get in angel investing are not ready for angels. They're actually ready for friends and family. They're ready for a 7A SBA loan from their local bank. And I try to guide them away from angel investing until they're ready. Once they're ready, preparing them, telling them what the hot buttons are that angel investors look for is part of the process that they go through with me. They have to have a business plan before they can raise money. I have to review that business plan, think in my mind, would I put my money into that venture? And if so, I will invite them to kind of get into my process. I spend a lot of time, 5 to 7 hours in advance of them presenting, preparing them through practice sessions, through discussions. I have model executive summaries that I give to them. I have guidelines for their PowerPoint presentation and help them get ready and prepared to take money and help them with their valuation.
Now, if you're a founder out there and you think this all sounds like overkill, I'm going to point to the success of our most recent event that just happened Wednesday night. Out of the 4 presenters on Wednesday night, how many of them are going to be getting investment from people who saw the pitches?
Yeah, it looks like at this point, all 4 of them got strong investment interest. And they were all from, as I said, all over the country. One came here from Atlanta. This was his first time at the rodeo,
Mm-hmm.
but Damon did an excellent job. We changed his
D-Suite Media, love the company.
D-Suite Media. It's a podcast company, much
Yep.
like the one we're doing here.
Yep.
The second one was Stack, which is a parking solution that out of New York, and they've got actually 5 or 6 current locations.
Traction. They've got traction.
That's right. They're out there. They've got a product that a company you pull your car in like Carvana. It's basically a carousel for EV vehicles. The third presenter was from Chicago. They got interest from 5 people, and then our last presenter offers a digital twin. It's called Hollow AI.
Mhm.
And they were out of Santa Monica, and they basically provide a package that basically can take your face, take your voice using artificial intelligence and give you a twin.
Yeah, that's Rex Wong from Hollow AI, and incredible pitch. And Rex is a 7 times exited founder.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about him earlier before you were on.
Right.
We talked about attending the event the other night. We talked about how impressive he was, but it shows when you've had 7 companies, you've got an investors who invest in 7 companies, and you're pitching investors for your 8th company. It shows that you've done the homework, that you've shown up ready to show investors what they're looking for when they invest in your company.
Well, and also another company that's locally here in Las Vegas called Boxable presented 3 years ago at my Gathering of Angels. We had 2 of my angel investors from Santa Fe that came over. They wrote $200,000 and $100,000 checks, so they wrote $300,000. We raised another $150,000 from local Las Vegas angels here. They presented again in November. It got some interest, but they wanted an introduction to an investment bank, and we made that introduction. It looks like they're going to be involved in helping Boxable with a strategic investment now and taking them public later.
Yeah, Boxable. If you are not familiar with Boxable, local favorite, big Las Vegas tech ecosystem, startup ecosystem success story here. And Boxable, you guys aren't done with Boxable yet. Boxable is going to be pitching at your Las Vegas Equity Capital Symposium coming up in April. So
That's right.
tell us a little bit about the symposium, what the goals are, what we're trying to do with that. Tell us a little bit about the nuts and bolts of it, and tell us what we should get excited about.
Well, the Equity Capital Symposium is modeled after the one that I was involved in getting started in New Mexico. We actually, for the one here, April 23rd, 4th, and 5th of April this year, we're going to be having 20 young companies present that are all vetted, most of whom have been through my Gathering of Angels process. And so they'll be pitching over a 2-day period. We plan to bring the presenters in the day before to have them practice pitch in front of 15 to 18 coaches. Also, we're going to give them coaching on assessments, what the strengths and weaknesses of their team.
We're gonna do a little bit of understand the strengths and weaknesses of your management team and how you can build that management team even stronger, which is very different than I've ever seen in any kind of pitch event.
Well, that's unique. Dr. Michael Abelson is one of my friends from Austin, Texas. We've also got a pitch perfect coach who's going to work on the presentation itself, the body language that a presenter has when he or she is on stage. And then we go live on Thursday and Friday. We'll have angel investors, VCs, investment bankers, family offices in the room listening, hopefully bringing some of their checkbooks along to Nevada.
Yeah, I imagine these investors that you're going to be bringing in don't go very far without their checkbooks. So,
well, they basically come, they've got cash for opportunities that are really investable, and our job is to put a lot of lipstick on.
Yeah, and so I want to give you a reason why you should come to this event. Even if the lineup's full, you should still come to this event if you're a founder. We're not talking about 5 investors coming to this event. We're not talking about 10 investors coming to this event. How many investors are going to be at this event?
We're hoping that we'll have 200 to 250 angel investors, venture capitalists, family offices, and maybe even 1 or 2 sovereign wealth funds.
Yeah. So this is worth your time, even if you are not on the presenter list, to come check out the I mean, if you're in Las Vegas, it's worth your time. I mean, there's no reason not to be there if you've got a startup in Las Vegas, but this is worth your time. 200 to 250, maybe more potential contacts for investment for your company in the future. This is where you can start building those relationships, much like Boxable, right? Boxable is still going through the angel investing, venture capital, but they're building that relationship with that investment bank because they want to build that relationship, get fuel on that fire when the time comes to bring that IPO, right? That's what Gathering of Angels, that's what Las Vegas Equity Capital Symposium can offer you as a founder is, even if you're not pitching at this event, you're starting to build those relationships with those investors who, when you are ready to pitch, already know you and you already have a relationship with.
Exactly right. So it's going to be an exciting event. You can register on the website, www.lasvegasequitycapitalsymposium.com, or call me and I can certainly help you get registered. We'd love to have you. The event costs $399 if you come in late. If you come in soon in the next 30 days, we have an early bird discount for people that register early for the 2-day event, and everybody's most welcome.
So check your budgets, get in on that early bird discount. $399, even at full price, is I think worth it to get a chance to meet 200 or 250 plus investors. And not only are you going to get to sit there and watch some really, really great pitches and learn a little bit about pitching from the experts,
Right.
but we're going to have a reception as well where you get to kind of mix and mingle and chat with some of those folks and start to build those relationships. You're going to have lots of networking opportunities in addition to getting to see some really amazing pitches from some really amazing companies.
And we're building also a sponsorship base right now. Blackfire Innovation is our title sponsor. I'm in discussions with Clark County Economic Development. I'm meeting in 2 weeks with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. And we've got 2 or 3 other, T-Mobile is interested.
Yep.
So we've got several people that are interested. We've got sponsorship opportunities, and would like very much to have anybody that's interested in being a sponsor, to please contact me, Tarby Bryant. My telephone number is 404-606-2193.
All right. Well, reach out to Tarby. You can reach out to me. I can get you in touch as well. We do have those sponsorship opportunities. So if you are a company in Las Vegas and you want to break into the ecosystem and be part of this, great opportunity for you to be one of the sponsors. If you are one of the bigger companies, one of the resorts in Las Vegas, and you're looking for those key technologies to move the ball forward on what you're doing here in Las Vegas or around the world, go ahead and sign up for one of those sponsorships. We can do that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Darby.
Nice job, sir.
All right, we'll see ya.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think Dave Berlin has someone he wants to bring to you. So, all right. You want to take this seat?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. However you want to do it. So, however you want to do it. How can I help with?
I'll help her. And
Okay.
then,
The best thing I can do is get out of your way.
Yep. We got Martin. Martin will be coming on after this, and then Lorraine, I think is her name.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just live and doing stuff. Right now nobody's watching. Thanks, guys. But we are recording this. So.
Need help? Can I help?
You don't mind are you able to pick me? I don't know if I have a big one. Oh, not that big.
Let's get her in nice and close.
Okay. How's that? Much
Good. Let's scoot you a little closer just so we make sure.
this?
Trying to.
Oh, I use StreamYard as well. Hey, StreamYard fam.
I'm trying to. Let's see if we can do this. So we've got your face on camera,
Love it.
and just try to talk real loud to that mic. So
Blue Eye Queen.
that's perfect. If you do that, you should be okay.
Excellent.
All right, I'm gonna get out of the way. Enjoy. What was your
Thank
name?
you. Blue.
Blue, I'm Jason. Very
Yeah,
nice to
Blue
meet
Eye
you.
Club. It looks like both of us.
What?
You got the blue eyes as well.
We do. They are very close. Very
And
close
it's his
to
middle name. I
Yeah,
found
I told her
out.
that. I was like, that's my middle name.
He said that's my middle name.
Sure.
That's my joke.
I'm
I say
pretty
that
sure
all the
yours
time.
tells if your
Yeah.
middle name is something.
It does. It does.
I won't tell the world what it is.
By the way, if you
Oh.
want to
Talk
send,
after, I'd love to learn what you're all about.
Oh,
if you'd like to
perfect.
send money to my live, it's Cash App Dave Means Business.
Here's my ETH wallet
yeah.
address.
Yeah, right.
BlueEyeQueen.eth.
So this is hello, welcome to the Dave Berlin segment of the show. Just kidding. No, I actually it's funny. I met Blue just 2 hours ago, and I'm sure we've met before, or at least I've seen you at events before. But first of all, you have this glowing energy. I saw you over there eating, and I was like, I know her, but I don't know where. And then we talked briefly. So tell us all about what you're excited about. Welcome to Tech Alley. We're live. But tell us what you're excited about. What are you working on, and all things Blue.
Okay, amazing. Thanks for having me. Yes, I am a shining light. I am positive all the time, every day. And I actually flew into Las Vegas yesterday morning. I came in from Tampa.
Okay.
So,
So you're not from here.
No, I just it's kind of by faith that we met.
That's amazing.
And I went to another coffee shop before this, and their system was down, and so it was kind of a blessing because I'm in a wheelchair, so I just wheeled myself like half a mile. I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm really strong.
Yeah.
And then I landed here, and I saw all
Which
this
way
going
was
on.
it? It was back over that,
That way.
Yeah, it was
Flex.
that way.
Flex. Back over that way.
So you're not from here. So
Yeah.
how I thought I know you is probably not.
Well, I came into town 2 weeks ago, and
Okay.
I have an art show happening next door from
Yeah.
where we are. So
At the Journey Gallery.
Mhm.
So shout out to our friends. We've also shot over there before too, the Journey Gallery, the NFT Gallery. So tell us about your exhibit and all the stuff that you have going on there.
it's a very immersive world. So if you don't know NFTs, I'm assuming you do. This is a tech show.
Yeah.
It means non-fungible tokens. And so an NFT is something that you mint on a blockchain. So next door, the gallery is operated by ApeChain, which it costs a lot of money to make your own chain, like for Bitcoin or Litecoin or anything. When you create this, you know that the people behind it is your
Yeah.
eco. So Journey reached out to me near Christmas time, and they said, we saw your collection. It's called 555. It minted on Magic Eden, 555 handmade paintings. So I
Okay.
handmade these paintings, and then I digitalized them into NFTs.
Ooh.
And then I had an allow list, a giveaway, and it sold out. It was amazing. And the stories behind it for each painting is about something I face with my disability. You wouldn't believe how many challenges there are just to get in the door or just to get resources that you need. And so I wear my heart on my sleeve,
I love
and
that.
I wrote all of these beautiful things. And so all of my collectors, I just checked before we got on, there's 234 collectors out of 555 paintings. And that means 234
cool.
people are touched by my story. And
That's
so
great.
I'm here for an artist
Well,
talk
I'm
tonight.
touched. I have never done blockchain though, so I'm the late adopter for everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that.
This is my first cell phone. I just got
It
this
looks like
a week ago. I'm
computer.
just kidding.
I can see he's got the 2 phones too. I got the 2
Right,
phone club as
right.
well.
There we go.
Oh, it's
Um,
amazing.
So okay, so are you? How does that work with the gallery? So now you have stuff that's hosted out of the gallery as well.
Yeah, so there's
Cool.
21 pieces in this
Cool.
show, and it's a January exhibition. So
Okay.
everyone in my world is like, how did you get this opportunity? How'd you get this showcase? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they slid in my DMs.
Interesting. So they came looking for you, which normally it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of my opportunities that I've had with everything in life, to me, I feel like the world is based off of vibrations. And so if you're performing at a frequency that's really high, then people will find you, and quantum physics is real to me. I always feel like I'm planting the seeds of people that are supposed to be in my pathway. You like that?
Oh, I've got a book for you in my bag right
He
now.
said he's like,
I have a book. I'm like, my bag's over there. I can't reach it, but I have a
See,
book for
that's
you.
why we connected. It's
That is
synchronicity.
absolutely. Her name's Kathy Heller,
Okay.
and she talks about the same thing. It's all on frequency, and we're gonna go tech, but also like how everything is connected.
Energy.
I was watching this podcast with her, and she says it's people look at law of attraction. She goes, I look at the law of reception. She says, it's like a radio. Now, fun fact you wouldn't know about me, but you might. The card I gave you is a boombox on my head. I collect boomboxes.
Cool.
And as soon as she said radio, I was like,
This is for me.
boomboxes? And she said, if you put a radio on the table, you wouldn't hear anything. But if you, first you have to turn it on, and then you tune it into a certain frequency, and you could hear rap music, you could hear gospel
it.
music.
It's beautiful.
You could even go to AM and listen to a baseball game. She goes, but what does that mean? Is it always here? Yes, it's always here. It's like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi's here, but you have to tap into it. And then whenever you do that, synchronicity happens. And then there's probably whole worlds of people that you can unlock.
Yeah, it's the right time at the right place and all the connections that fall into line. And this is actually my second collection on the blockchain. And to be an NFT artist and have 2 sold out collections is kind of like amazing.
Yeah, I was like, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
But like, how did you get into that? Like, what got you? Like, have you always been an artist, and then that was just the new thing that everybody was doing, or how did that come to be for you?
Oh, I love this question. My background. So for those of you that are familiar with, oops, no, the gold one.
And just put it on her chair.
Thank you. We don't want that to walk away. That's all the goodies in there. So how did I get to the NFT artist world? Well, 2 ways. First, I've been an artist since I was 5.
Okay,
So
so
I-
10 years,
So,
15 years. I love it.
well, I'm 36, but we won't go there.
You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, oh my gosh, thank you.
It's that glow, right? It's that glow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about perception, right? It's about what you want people to feel. And I'm always a bouncing little bubble. And that's why you saw me over there just chipping away. And that's why I was so happy you came over too, because I was going to ask you, like, what are you guys doing over here? I want to join you.
Yeah.
And we love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us. Come in here. Give us Blue Eye Club.
Usually interrupt other.
No, we want to hear it.
We love that. If you see us out at an event and we're doing this, come over and talk to us.
Yeah.
And if you are somewhere where there is a bar and you want to bring me a beer, I would love that.
He likes some IPAs,
Yeah.
double.
I do.
Run it.
You look like that kind of person.
You look like that kind of drunk.
I'm just
You
no,
know me
I
so
have
well.
funny jokes. I'm just a witty
No,
person.
that's great. That's
I
great.
just-
Now
Yeah.
I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is you're permanently on the show forever now. The bad news is now you live here, or maybe that's good news.
Yeah.
But no, so you
I
got
love
started
that.
when you said 5.
Yeah,
you were an
painting.
artist. Yep.
And so art to me is healing. And so when you have a disability that's a disease, I've had 19 surgeries and I've
Oh,
had
wow.
a lot of things reconstructed in my life. Instead of numbing myself or taking pain medications and I'm also sober, I just paint and I just put it all out
The
there.
frequencies are high right now. I just celebrated 1 year sober,
cool.
January 1.
Your clarity is
Yeah.
so much more. I remember
Now I still
things.
take psychedelics, but
Oh.
that's a different conversation. It's a different podcast
Yeah.
altogether.
My memory is it's to the point now where I can remember that text message and what you were wearing or whatever was going on at that
Wow.
moment. It's a little scary.
So
They call me the
I
archivist.
wish mine was that. Mine's not as sharp.
Coming.
I actually spent the first 4 months for sure, like apologizing.
Oh yeah.
Because people would be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, it seems like we've met before.
But I don't remember that thing.
I was
Yeah.
like, hello, I'm Dave.
Your
I
environment
apologize.
changes.
I'm sober now.
Yeah, your environment changes. Well, good for you. That's
Yeah,
great.
thank
That's
you.
a big
Good
thing.
for us.
Good for us. And so going down the rabbit hole of painting, I have 34 art galleries international.
International.
Yeah, I've traveled 38 countries in the wheelchair,
What?
full send, and you have to be vulnerable to
So
the
do you
world.
have your own PJ? Is that how you do it?
I want to. I'm like trying to butter up. Maybe this tech conference will help me
We
find
need
a
to hit up Colin from Amalfi Jets. Welcome to Amalfi Jets. This is Colin.
Is there any investors here that want to give me a PJ? I'll paint your plane.
Yeah.
I'll paint
There it
your
is.
plane. It'll be
We'll paint your plane.
It'll be collaboration. And so fast forward to 2021
Yeah.
and NFTs got really big.
Yeah.
I dropped my own collection on OpenSea. It's a marketplace.
I am familiar with that.
Hmm
And that's kind of like the Facebook of
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. It's like a Twitter or
Yeah.
Facebook of that.
Yeah.
And so then I also had my own artist residency in Miami, which
Okay.
is really
now.
difficult
Where
to come
do you
by.
live?
I'm now in Tampa. I
Okay.
just moved over there, but I'm one of those nomadic people where it's not that I'm bored. I get so used to seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
And when you're creative, you
Yeah.
digest the data around you
Yeah.
and the ambiance. You have to have new beginnings and
love
new
that.
things. And so the company called Yuga Labs, they are the creators of the Bored Apes, the Mutant Apes, the CryptoPunks. They actually slid in my DMs again
Cool.
into LinkedIn, and they offered me a social media position. And I took
Great.
the ticket and I set sail. And
Nice.
so it's been 2.5 years working for that company. I was laid off last April, which ended up being a blessing in disguise because I was on the legal team at this point. I got promoted all the way up to the legal team. So I was like the takedown queen. I came in and took down the impersonators that were stealing from our community. And now I'm on the other side, which is the community side.
Yeah.
And I'm making events. We did a 200-foot mural in Lisbon last year, a bodega of 500 paintings that were all given away. So now I'm more immersed in being evaporated by the community, which gave me another opportunity of being the artist resident for Journey.
So cool.
And everyone's like, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? And my energy is like nonstop hustle. I'm a Detroiter. That is what I am. I represent, where's the camera? D-Town. And that is hustle because let me take off my earrings. No, I'm kidding. That's when I'm in fight or flight mode, which we don't have to be here today. Everyone seems really friendly. But don't worry, I got your back.
I'm a Marine Corps veteran, so I got your back. If it pops off, we're ready.
Yeah. So I just took
We're
a
ready, right?
chance. Yeah,
We're
we're ready, right? Everybody popping out, and I took a chance. Came out here in Vegas. I travel alone, but
How long are you here for?
until Monday. I'll be
Okay.
here till Monday. And my fiance, he wasn't able to make it. His name is Matthew, but his birthday was Thursday. So I'm trying to do all these amazing things. And then when we're able to get back together again in Florida, he can just be ready for all these.
And
cool
what does he
things.
do? Because does he travel a lot? Are you guys in business together? That's a really hot topic around here right now. Is how do people make entrepreneurship work? How do people make life as an artist work? And then also, well, you're already engaged, but like it makes dating significantly challenging. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So just curious, like, what does he do?
Yeah, I love that question. We actually met at a co-working space. He
Cool.
was sitting at a disability table, and he
Okay.
didn't realize it was a disability
You're
table.
like, get out of my seat.
It was basically like that. He's
Like,
I
sorry,
didn't-
could you sit anywhere else, sir?
Yeah. He's like, I didn't see it. I didn't see the logo. And I was like, don't worry, nobody ever sees me. And then we ended up like hitting it off. And he does AI models. He builds
Cool.
chatbots, language learning.
Cool.
He is one of the most smart intellectual people ever. So when we're on our computers, it's not working. It's
Yeah.
making something to help other people.
That's
And
cool.
that's the vibe. That's the vibration. And now the future of us is to help other projects launch their NFTs, people that
Love it.
need humanitarian causes. They just don't
Yeah,
know
so
what to
cause
do.
marketing.
Cause marketing.
I love that.
Okay, yeah, that's the name of
I
what
have
it's called.
Well, that's just a version of what
Yeah.
people call it. I have some people to introduce you to, probably like
Nice.
also in Florida.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Amazing.
very cool.
Because one of the trains that I'm running, because I'm running multiple trains, is I have a children's book about my service animal. Her name is Coco, and it's about diversity and adopting the youth into Web3. So it's
Love it.
half of it's a coloring book, and then the
Cool.
other half is about Coco and her responsibilities. And that's for the youth and the adults, because many times people just aren't aware or how to help or how to be compassionate. So I'm putting out my life out there on these books for the
I love that.
children to get involved, and then they can be adopted into Web3 and learn about this technology, because this is the future,
Yeah.
whether we want to see it or
And
not. It's
again,
going.
I'm a late adopter, but you may be
Mhm.
converting me right here.
Yeah.
I
mhm.
have had some people, like I have a podcast that's separate. There's another person you might want to meet here. His name's Jake Gallen.
Okay.
He's the CEO of a big blockchain company. I don't know which one. He was on my show. Forgive me.
I'm gonna think
but
of it.
it's always like I never know.
Mhm.
Like I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you definitely grabbed my attention about, and I know that it's going to be like something that I have to learn. But maybe I just haven't had the right teacher.
Yeah, if you think about McDonald's, they just adopted the Doodles as their coffee cup.
Yeah.
So if we think, okay, McDonald's is a big brand.
Yeah.
Now every big brand is going to want a mascot.
Yeah.
So they're all going to want one of these NFTs.
Yeah.
So they're going to be jumping into
Yeah.
this lane. And then, just yesterday, President Trump dropped a meme token.
Yep.
And that's over 30 billion now. And
Wow.
I put in just this is not financial advice.
Yeah.
I just put in $200
Closure.
and I woke up to my entire Las Vegas trip paid.
No,
So
awesome.
that is what you call
$400.
with another zero
Yeah.
at the end.
Wait, where are you staying at? Are you staying at the Trump Hotel?
Oh yeah. I'm at one of those 21 and up hotels, thinking it would be like super fun, but it's also it's kind of like creepy. But
Are you at Circa or you can't
yeah,
say?
I don't mind.
Yeah,
I
Circa's
don't.
great.
Circa's great. It's a different vibe than the Strip.
Yeah.
I think it's all kind of wild.
I'm always curious when people come here, like where they
Where
stay.
they go,
Yeah.
yeah.
'cause some people are like, a really cool place that I always recommend. A lot of the people I know stay at the Wynn or Encore. Those
Mhm.
are always great too.
Yeah, it's like you can get lost in your hotel and you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
it's like they do that. They pump that
Yeah.
air in there,
Yeah.
and all
the
the
Venetian is
ding
the
ding.
worst. I've gotten lost in the Venetian every time I go there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking all these casinos, they would be the perfect people for NFT adoption
Yeah.
because it looks just like the NFTs,
Yeah. Yeah.
the games
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
You could just go around and turn every little slot machine into an NFT. I'm like, maybe that's the future for me. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be
Ooh.
doing.
Well, I get, I take my normal 48% cut. So of everything that happens at this table,
all the
you
ideas that
sign the
come in.
paperwork.
Yeah, once you sit down and consent, that is what you do. That is the any ideas we bring here in the sessions. That's super fun
So
and really cool.
For so you're here through the weekend. So for this residency that you have, do
Mhm.
you come back for it, or do you come back to close it out, or is that what you're here for now, or how does all that work?
So yeah, tonight is what I'm here for now is the
Okay.
artist talk. I came in on New Year's.
Oh, you're speaking tonight?
Yeah, tonight
Oh,
at
cool.
6:00, and I heard the DJ goes until 6, so I'll be
Okay.
here boogieing, getting the dance moves going. So from 6 to 7, I'm gonna do a very intimate speech. I'm a TEDx keynote, so we're gonna
Ooh, I did a TEDx.
kick it off.
What?
Excuse me, are we a reflection?
I
what
did.
was yours on?
I did one about veteran transition.
Okay.
This was 10
wow.
years ago. I did 2014.
Oh, I
Yep.
have a buddy named Showbiz that you need to meet in this
Yes.
world. He does we do podcasts together.
I love it.
He's 50. He says he's gained 50 years of knowledge just from being in the military, and I
Yeah.
think that's
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
It's a
Yeah.
whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Cool. So you're talking tonight,
Tonight,
and then
at Journey,
at Journey.
and then we'll have music and some other Web3 folks coming in.
Cool.
I'm a part of the ape community, so the Bored Apes and the Mutant Apes. But there's other communities. There's the Pudgy Penguins. There's sub communities like G's on Ape. And I know I'm probably speaking language that's like way over people's heads.
It's only
but-
over my head. Everybody else that's tuned in right now is totally on.
You
point
know?
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have 2 collections. I have Vibrant Energy and I have 555, and they both sold out, which is amazing. It's what the effort is that you put into something. The right people will be aware of that, and they'll want to support you.
I love it.
You only need a few thousand friends to help you get up and going, and then the rest is just set and sail.
There it is. What is it? 1,000 raving fans.
I think that's what
Yeah.
I know there's like a book about it.
Yeah.
You just need 1,000 close fans and then
Yep.
you're all set. I don't need 1 million people. It'd be nice to have 1 million people, but what is that going to do for me? Million views, you know?
So how can people learn more about you? Where can they go? Where can they connect?
Okay, yes. My handle on social media is Blue Eye Queen. And you can find my blog. It's theapegoddess.com. And I have my YouTube channel, which it's already surpassed 1 million views. And it's about day in the life of a disabled person. So I go through and I take content of me traveling with my disability and all the different gadgets that they have to hook up to me. I look like I'm going in a spaceship with some of the stuff that they're putting on me. And people find it very entertaining. I love it. Blue Eye Queen. Is this Instagram or... So for Instagram, it's going to be the Ape Goddess, and for Twitter, it's Blue Eyed Queen.
I or I'd?
No D.
No D. Okay.
I didn't know that there was a
Blue
D
Eye.
at the end until one of my Spanish friends was like, "You know that means you just have one blue eye, right?" And I was like, "Well, it's already made.
Yeah.
It's already done. It's
into the Twitter
ether
universe.
sphere,
Yeah.
So thank you for supporting me and letting me jump on and say hi.
You got it. I got to get this book for you though.
Oh, okay.
We're
This
gonna do
is
this
really
on
good.
the show. 'Cause I'm gonna talk.
Ooh, maybe we'll do a little beatbox and boop boop. Like a commercial break. I love it so much.
We do this all the time.
Oh yeah, I am just a ball of energy all day. I just wake up and I'm like, what do we do today? How do we make things happen? Wow, really? He really does have a library.
Yeah.
Are you Mary Poppins?
So I opened a veteran entrepreneur library this year or
Okay.
last year.
You're
So I'm gonna give you this book. So it's funny because I I listened to this podcast with this woman. It was the weekend of Thanksgiving, and I listened, and there was just so many synchronicities that happened on that actual podcast that I was like, I gotta follow this woman. She was doing her book launch, and normally people are like doing a book launch like months later. This was like the next week, and so I bought 10 copies,
right
and
there.
I was like,
Yep.
I know that I'm gonna give this. So this is actually the last copy to give. So there's where the
honored.
frequencies are at. So
I'm honored.
Abundant Ever
Hey,
After.
This was my mom's name. I love that. Thank you so much. I love books. You can never stop learning. You like you can't know it all. You have
Yeah.
to be able to put your mind at learning things that keep you going.
So I'm in her like 21-day challenge for New Year's, and I literally like this morning, as soon as I pulled up, I watched today's activation, and it was a whole meditation about connecting with the right people and just living into that frequency. So here we
Yes.
are,
Woo!
live in the universe.
Hey,
It's all real.
now we're gonna be on the blockchain. I'm gonna mint this later,
Yep.
and then maybe we'll earn something on this episode.
There it is. Very cool.
Thank you for having me, guys,
You
and
got it.
God bless. Love you, Matthew. Ciao, ciao.
Boom.
Woo!
So
So cool. Thank you.
If you can interview
That was
Martin, that would be
awesome.
great.
How do I find what you guys are cooking over here?
I'll share it with you,
Okay,
and I'll write it in the
perfect.
book too. I'll do
Thank
a little.
you. I
Thanks
would
for
love
shooting.
that. Yes, please. Got my little chariot waiting. Very good.
Like that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I've never done this before, so tell me how to do it.
Awesome. Looks like you're doing just great.
Look better than the last.
Amazing.
I didn't get to pinch
Thank
it
you.
there, but
Hello. Nope.
make sure your jacket.
Don't touch my booty now. I'm kidding. That's a bad joke.
But I also was kind of worried about it because there's
Hanging
there's
out.
not that much room between the top of your back and your booty. So
Thank you.
can I help you?
Yeah, let's
Thank you so much.
do it.
You want to jump in? Whoever. Yeah, whoever's next. So. Come on. Cool. Hey, I'm Jason.
Hey, Tony.
Tony.
I didn't know
Let's
I'd
get you.
be speaking right now. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know they're going to be speaking on our live stream, and that's just one of the benefits of coming to Tech Alley is it's always a surprise. So, tell us, is this your first Tech Alley?
The first Tech Alley I've contributed and or like kind of
Okay.
interacted with, other than just being a wallflower staring from the
Okay.
outside.
You were
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
our speakers today.
No, no. Just actually interacting and networking with people.
Okay,
and
cool.
sitting down here with you today, obviously.
Well, I love it. We're glad you're here. So, tell us what you're all about. What are you into?
I create augmented reality.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So mostly for brand experiences,
Mhm.
mostly on social platforms. It's going to be getting a little tougher coming up because Meta is taking away their AR platform, Spark AR.
Mhm.
So that's been really tough on creators. But thankfully, there's other platforms coming online and other players in the game. So,
What's your favorite platform you like working on?
I'm going to have to go with Snap,
Okay.
Snapchat, and Lens Studio.
Snap. I only know a little bit about the AR space. I understand Snap has really been a pioneer in that, and they've made it really easy for developers as well.
Absolutely. I would say out of all the tools, all the capabilities, they are the furthest along in the game. They're just not furthest along when it comes to the marketing and ad dollars.
Mhm.
We have a lot of brands wanting to build on the biggest networks,
Mhm.
so like Facebook and whatever Meta's building, Instagram, of course. But if people really understood what capabilities could be done with Snap, I think we'd have more of an audience over there.
Yeah, my understanding their tech stack is a little further along than everybody else's. So,
Absolutely.
So-
I actually brought something a little advanced with me today.
yeah, let's take a look. You got if you've got something to show us, let's bounce it out there.
Yeah. So these are spectacles. This is actually the fourth. I think it's the fourth iteration of them,
Mm-hmm.
and these are one of the first AR sunglasses out on the market.
And who makes these?
These are made exclusively by Snap.
Okay, these are Snap specs or Snap
Snap
glasses, whatever they're
spectacles.
called.
Yep,
Yeah.
Snap specs. Yep. So versus the giant headset that you put on right now, these fit on pretty easy. They're a little heavy in the back, but that's because all the processing is done within the arms.
Yep. Yeah. If you, I have a, whatever was the Meta headset a couple of years ago. You know, the Quest, right?
Quest.
The Quest. I have one of those, and you know, I'm a big guy. I've got some strength, but even that, I get after about 45 minutes, I get a little tired of wearing that thing.
little,
So this looks like it's a world of improvement over that.
Yeah, I think their first commercial that Snap had to introduce these was somebody walking around seeing the world through their own eyes versus people bumping around with headsets.
Yeah.
And really, I think in the next, 2 to 5 years, this is going to be the next big wearable. We had phones, we have watches, now it's going to be the sunglasses.
So what are I don't know if you can say, what are some of the brands you work with, or what are some of the types of projects you do?
So absolutely, yeah. Most of the brands that I work with currently are just trying to sell their products using augmented reality, right? So it's more like world experiences. So you think about a brand like Native Deodorant is a good name drop, I guess, to put on here. I use them myself. I started using them more once we were working on a project. But basically, they're introducing their new line of sprayable deodorants. So in that particular instance, you would open your phone and open the experience to like a world of clouds and little flying cans of deodorant. So, just that whole experience there kind of puts the brand more in the user's mind. And of course, they're more likely to associate with it later on.
Okay, very cool. Are you working any kinds of projects are you working anything like we're here in Las Vegas, you'd be walking around and get that AR experience while you're walking around experiencing Las Vegas?
So this is definitely where these come in because we can walk around and kind of have mobile AR in real time. One thing that my first project that we're actually building with these is an ASL learning device. So the ability to have your digital avatar reflected back to you in a mirror-like version that you can see through your glasses, and you holding up signs and it translating for you whether you're correct or incorrect or how to learn the signs further.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Yeah. So how did you come to be involved in the AR space?
Man, I read a news article. That was it. Snapchat was buying a company called Cinemagine back in 2016, and the article said that it would basically be able to put a Starbucks logo on a coffee mug. And as somebody with a marketing mind, I was instantly hooked in that technology and what it could do for a business that I would operate and run. And we started something in 2018, and we've been building ever since for the last 6 or 7 years now.
Now, what's your background? Are you a marketer? Are you a coder? Are you an artist? How did you? What got you? What was before the step into AR?
The spark, yeah. Really, I just like technology. I've always been tech savvy, so I went to school originally for programming and interactive media. Then I got out, started doing website banners, like super boring, right? But
Super boring now.
Super boring now.
That was the future in the 1990s.
I was still sitting there at that computer, just stuck in a 10 by 80 by 640 pixel space, But moving forward, I actually found more passion in drones and flying because I always kind of wanted to be a pilot growing up. So started working for a startup company, Fly For Me. Drones was the big thing for me. And then that kind of petered off as other bigger players took the market. And then I read about AR, and that was the real hook that got me going. AI is the big talk right now, but combining the two, that's a whole other world.
Yeah, I think we're much like we saw with Web 3.0 Metaverse a couple of years ago, and then when ChatGPT 3 came out and it was available to all of us, we all got distracted by the shiny object. And now, as much as working with AI is a big part of my life right now, and the way I speed up the way I do things, the excitement's kind of faded, and so there's gonna be room for something else. Now, let me ask you a question: have you thought about combining the passion for drones and the AR?
That is kind of too many layers for me at the moment. And then I also try and think about it from active usable applications, right? So using drones with AR really that augmented reality experience is going to become into the video, happen in the post-processing
Yep.
versus in real time in the moment.
Yeah.
So I haven't really combined those two yet, but I'd be very interested.
I mean,
in
that's
seeing
what
somebody
I
that
see
does.
go, because I have a pilot's license. I've been flying for most of my life, and I haven't gotten into the drone thing, but I can imagine I'd love to be looking through the glasses, looking through the camera on the drone, and have my instrument displays up on the glasses, and not be looking down at a
Like
controller.
a more technical display
Yeah.
to kind of read like barometer, altitude.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the kind of, the more sophisticated your drone, the more you need flight instruments. But I'd at least like to know how fast am I going. Like, can I have a little map in the corner? Kind of like a video game, right?
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Like
Make it more
video games have
gamified.
promised us this world where we look at things and we look through a camera and there's all these, like a heads-up display like a fighter aircraft has, right? That's what I'd love with my drone, and then be able to customize that. Like, do it. If I'm in a drone, do I need my airspeed? Probably not. I probably do want to know how I want to know how far above ground level I am.
Yeah,
Even if
AGL.
even if I don't have my barometric altitude, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's,
How far is it to that mountain or telephone pole that's in front of me? I'd like to know that. So
I like more the aerial tricks and how fast can I push it before going straight
yeah,
up,
and that's where airspeed would be
Exactly.
helpful, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
even in a quadcopter drone, you get enough angle of attack, you can stall that thing out and it'll pitch forward on
drop
you.
it
So,
down. Yeah, make
yeah.
some real fun video.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing building on these applications, and even taking something like the Sphere, right? It's the big thing everyone's talking about now. Like, how can we start recreating some of these large installations in AR that we can see when we're walking down the street?
I can't wait to see it. Are you local here to Las Vegas?
I am.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
Right off Rainbow and Tropicana.
Okay, and that's where people can come see you, come find you, and if they want to work on a project with you, how can they get a hold of you?
It'll be at wildportals.com. That's
Okay.
our AR agency.
Okay.
And it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else you want to leave us with before we let you go and get to the next round of talks?
Viva Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas. I love it. Tony, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's been a
Have good
pleasure.
day.
All right. All right. We are going to be joined by our good friend Eric Lacasse here. I think he's going to talk to us about SEO, but who knows what's going to come up. So how have you been, man? It's been a little while. We're due for a sit down.
I know.
Sit back closer to me here. We gotta make sure with the background noise we
That's
got
right.
you on the
I completely forgot
microphone.
about that. I thought it was a regular
Yeah.
conversation.
No, well, we have a lot of those too, but
That's
yes.
true.
So,
Good. Things are good.
did you check out CES last week?
No, my parents were in town.
Ah, bummer.
Yep, it was the annual Wild Golden Knights pilgrimage. So,
Ah,
you know,
that's right. That was very inconsiderate of the NHL to schedule
I
that
know.
the same
I know.
week.
Well,
I got a media pass, so I had a fun
next
time at
year.
CES.
yeah, I heard about that. I saw it. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So,
That's good.
so what is going on? What's going on in the world of SEO?
Oh, so the really interesting thing a couple days ago was SEOs like to dig into AI because they know that's the new frontier.
Yep.
And I read a case study where a group of SEOs went into the ChatGPT coding,
Mm-hmm.
and they found, which was fascinating, that they were using a algorithm called RankBrain
Mm-hmm.
for ranking of content from ChatGPT's web service.
Okay.
So, for those that don't know what RankBrain is 3 algorithm iterations from the early 2000s. Now,
So not the newest.
not the newest. This is very, very good for SEOs. This was a kind of a big find for us.
If you're not sure when you're watching, it's 2025. So these are pre-2005.
Yes. Now, the reason for it was because it's a faster algorithm. It's a faster ranking system with RankBrain because it completely just shows the domain authority, how much traffic, and how much backlinks.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's going to rank. So now that we in the SEO world know that they are missing 2 other iterations, 2 other major algorithm changes, we can say, okay, from RankBrain, if you had this in your content, then the probability of ChatGPT seeing it is better than if you tried to go for the algorithm that's 2 more back
Okay.
or 2 more forward, right?
Mhm.
Now, this is all speculation. This is all just a case study, but it definitely lends to the fact that AI won't take over SEO anytime soon, because if it's off RankBrain, then it's completely off search intent.
And that's not just. Let me ask this in the form of a question. That might be better. Is that just the way AI is ranking what it sees as the searches, or like if you ask, like sometimes I ask an AI, go write me something that's going to go up as like a social media caption or an episode description for YouTube. Is it using that same algorithm to decide this is what should be the words I should write for this?
Exactly. You're right on both ends. This particular RankBrain algorithm is when you press the ChatGPT web button,
Mhm.
right? The ChatGPT algorithm, large language model, LLM,
Mhm.
still runs off of that kind of old system,
Okay.
right? Because it has to do it fast. So they can't use the most brand new algorithm. They have to kind of
When-
step it back.
When you say fast, what do you mean by fast? Because I'm working, I'm okay if my AI of choice takes like 5 or 10 minutes to crank on something. I'll go get myself another cup of coffee. I'll check my phone, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
How fast are we talking about?
Depending on the inquiry, milliseconds to your minute, right? So
Mhm.
when you ask AI to conduct a function, make a table, make a long answer,
Mhm.
that's the AI doing its thing. That's the LLM. That's
Mhm.
NL. That's neural linguistic programming, LLM, all that other stuff.
Yep.
But if you ask, find me the best bike shop
Mhm.
in Las Vegas, and you click the website function, it's going to RankBrain to show you what's the closest.
So that's only if you use the web
function.
web search
Right,
function, not
right.
the
not the
not
actual
the
LLM,
LLM
to do
function,
actual-
which
yep.
I
There's a
like.
big
I like the
difference.
waste energy. I use the LLM function all the time.
But
I am. Don't bill me more Nevada Energy.
it's interesting to know that this is what is literally is how we're starting to see the fine tooth of AI. It's a great system, but we're starting to see that, okay, it still has to be built in some kind of form. Right.
It's interesting to watch how, because it's been about 2 years since we've all really had access to all this now, and not to dig on AI, because every technology has its limitations, but now we're really starting to see there are limitations. 2 years ago we were talking about this like the sky's the limit.
Yep.
None of us are ever going to have to work again.
Yep.
Somebody bring me a beer. Kind of, I'm not. This is going to be great. I'm just going to sit
Or my
around.
job is going to be replaced.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
we're all just going to be sitting around and enjoying our lives, right? And now we're starting to see there's some real, and again, not to dig on any of the AIs that are out there. Every technology has limitations. We're starting to learn what they are.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And AI has to catch up. We have to catch up with it. So whatever iterations they're moving forward with in the SEO role, we're always going to be about 5 to 6 months behind, if not sooner.
Okay.
And again, that doesn't limit what an SEO can do for any other website. Like my presentation today is, I'm doing an audit of Tech Alley's website.
Okay, that should be exciting.
Technical SEO audit of that website.
That should be. Are you doing that live, or
No.
did you cheat and do it already?
I grabbed my screenshots. I kind of made it very easy to understand the basics of it.
It's a better presentation
It's a better
method, I think.
presentation. Maybe I got to check the internet speed in the room that I'm in.
It's probably zero.
Yeah.
There's
So,
probably
think-
there's probably no available internet in those rooms. Hence why we bring our own internet when we do this stream. So
It's awesome. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do a live audit anytime soon, but I'll be doing Tech Alley's website.
well,
And
that's exciting.
And they changed it up before I did the audit. I was used to the old website, and I was like, okay, I got this to talk about. And then they after Christmas they redesigned
Yeah,
it.
there's a whole bunch of new stuff.
I'm
There's a-
sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. What am I going to talk about?
And if you are looking at the Tech Alley website, there should be an announcement for the Las Vegas Equity Capital Symposium coming
There
up
you
in
go.
April, as well as the upcoming Gathering of Angels events in what we just did January, but February and March as well. So
Excellent.
so check it out. Lots of good stuff on the Tech Alley website. I know I have to get my profile up there as like for doing this. So
Right.
Josh sent me that in July, and I don't think I've done it. I mean, I literally July, and I haven't done it yet. I gotta find like 10 minutes to do that. So
Yeah.
so
Other than that, just
so what are some of the things I know you're gonna talk specifically about Tech Alley's website. So if you're in Las Vegas, you want to come down and you learn about that and get some specific examples, come on down to Tech Alley. You're speaking at 245.
245. Yeah.
245. So we're all centered around Taverna Costera, our sponsors for the event. They provide lunch, coffee, water, all that kind of stuff for the attendees. But that's what we're centered around. So come around at 245, get that. What are some of the things that an audit of your website, an SEO audit of your website can tell you?
So the big thing that is going to be able to be said is understanding the core web vitals. Core web vitals are, in basic nutshell form, the speed in which your website loads, right? Broken down into 3 different categories. 2025, they're going to add a 4th. Google's going to add a 4th category. It is one of the most important deciding factors as to whether your website will even be on a search results page or
Okay.
does your website have a video in it? Does it have animations in it? Does it have really big text? An audit on speed, a speed audit, is going to be able to tell you whether or not it passes or it fails. And if it passes on desktop, you got to do the same thing on your mobile. It's a big thing because a lot of people are like, well, I have to have that video. And I'm like, does it have to be 4K? Because you're literally taking 1.5 megabytes of space to load something that's should be loaded in 10 milliseconds. Now you're at past 5 seconds of loading.
Yep.
People are going to bounce off.
Record in 4K. Choose where, like what we're doing with this live stream. We're going out. We should be going out 1080.
Yep.
We're recording in 4K on the computer as well, so we can go back and we take conversations like this.
Oh yeah.
And get the like high quality video and audio and put that up on our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
But guys, think about where you're putting your
Oh,
video, right?
It's a big deal.
Like
and it's-
most people are watching their phones, and if you are lucky, your video is going to get seen at 720p. So think about it. Like I record everything at 4K. I put it all up on YouTube at 4K because I'm hoping somebody somewhere is sitting in front of their 85-inch TV watching this, and we want it to look good on their. We don't want them to go, this looks like garbage on my TV, right? That's great for YouTube. It's not great for your website, right?
No.
Host a 720 or maybe even is it 480?
Yes. If you-
Host that version on your YouTube channel and use that version on your website.
Right. And even a lot of people don't want to realize that, or the technical SEO speed audit kind of lends to the fact that whether or not you need to have it in the first place.
So, what is a good speed, and how can people who are watching find out what their speed is?
So there's a website called gtmetrics.com. That is the de facto desktop speed analysis tool. It doesn't do mobile. You'll have to go into your Google Search Console to find your mobile. But it is a very good test to find, does your website pass? Does it look good? Does it perform well? Does it meet Google's Web Core Vitals measurements, right?
So start there,
Yep.
because if you're not doing well on desktop, you're probably not doing well on mobile.
Yep.
So start there.
And on the Google Search Console, it's a percentage for your desktop and your mobile. So it's always out of 100%. Anything below a 70%, you got to start taking things apart. Just the way it is.
Did you do this for my website?
Of course.
How did I
You've
do?
been optimized for like 2.5 years.
How did I do? What are my numbers? Do you know my numbers?
You are passing on all fronts.
All right, good enough. Good
There you
enough.
go.
Good enough. But I don't think we have any video up on the website,
No.
do we?
But
And I
when
don't
you-
think we need to.
Right. The only thing is like you should be checking if you make additions, right? So like with your new graphic for your training,
Mhm.
got to do one once it gets indexed. You got to do anything that you make a change, even a blog post. As soon as you enter it in, wait about 2 weeks and then do an audit or
Yep.
go to and see how it looks. You'd be surprised.
That's
So,
really important. I want to emphasize that. I want you to say that again. How long should you wait before? Like, don't check it the second you put it up.
no, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for Google to index it. Now, what do I mean by indexing? In my presentation, I talk about the idea of what indexing is. Indexing is like little ants, and they're called Google bots. And they go to every single website all the time, and they bring something back if something doesn't
This
look
is
right.
this is literally what the internet is doing to you all the time.
Yeah. And there's always bots. So whenever you make a change, you have to wait for the bot to find it. So you have to wait maybe a week or two. But you'll know because if you hired an SEO and they go through your Google Search Console, they'll be able to see the URL of what your blog post is, that it's been indexed. If you don't have an SEO, you can go in and manually tell Google, hey, I made a change. Can you make this indexed? Two different ways of finding out and getting things on there. Once that's done, run an audit. Run an easy audit. See what's wrong with it. See if there's anything wrong with it. Nothing wrong, move on. Something wrong, now you got to find out what it is.
Yep. And if your web page is simple, there's probably not a lot wrong with it in terms of speed.
Right.
What we always find is we get really ambitious about the marketing that we want to do, the graphics we want to use, the messages we want to tell, and we've got to balance that, because if it was up to me, I'd put this whole 4K video up on that website, and you'd all get to see what I'm like all the time, right? I would just be, but that's not good for my website speed, right?
Nope, it's not. And the thing is SEO and UX and UI, user experience and user interface, are always going to kind of butt heads. It's part of how this whole marketing thing works. SEO is like, make it simple, make it so that someone knows exactly what you're doing, what you're selling, and how they can get it. UX UI is like, well, we need to have this animation, we need to have this rollover, we need to have this big text. And again, it's not that it's not needed, it's just, is it efficient? And that's where optimization comes in.
Right.
There'll always be a butting heads of it. So it's a balance, and you got to find the balance that works for you.
And the tech issues drive that balance, right?
Exactly.
Because we have a lot of conversations about this is what we should do for the website, and maybe these other things are better done on social media, or maybe maybe this is better as a YouTube video, right? As opposed to something that goes up on the website.
Yeah. And it's an umbrella type of world that we live in. It's not, well, I just want it done this way and this is the way it's going to be.
Yep.
You have to try and push things in as many different directions as you can.
Yeah, if your website doesn't load, I don't know the latest numbers, but a while back I think it was 0.3 seconds. Is that still the number? 0.3?
2.1 now.
0.21.
No, 2.5 actually.
2.5 seconds.
Total load time.
That is generous. I thought it was under a second.
So that's
I thought the number was under a second.
what that is cumulative. So that's cumulative load time. When you talk about one of the first core web vitals, which is the LCP, the cumulative shift, that's 0.1.
Okay.
It's actually milliseconds.
That's probably what I'm thinking of.
That's the first thing that pops up, right? It should be within 100 milliseconds of clicking that link or going to the website. Total load time should be under 2.5.
Right. So if you are pulling up especially on your phone, pulling up your website on your phone, and it is taking more than 0.1 millisecond for anything to show up, you're already behind.
They're already behind.
If it's taking 2.5 for you to be able to scroll down and look at stuff on the website, 2.5 seconds, you're already behind.
Yep.
Do it on your phone, and make sure you do it from either like an incognito window, whether it's on your phone or your desktop, or do it from somebody else's phone who's not used to going to your website and see how long it takes.
Yep.
Right. Because if you do it from your browser of choice, you don't do it from like an incognito window.
Right.
Like it's just going to be used to loading you. So.
Right, because of the search history.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very overlooked element of SEO. It's the nerdiest of the nerd part of SEO.
But it's the most important,
It
right?
is very, very important, especially now with speed of internet, speed of search, speed of ranking. If you're not passing your core web vitals, you will not get ranked. You will be 9th page on Google, even though you have a better product or better content. If it's not fast and it's not delivered fast, Google doesn't see it. They'll see it, but they'll ignore it. So,
Well, and maybe your website is super slow like 2002. Maybe your AIs will find it because they're
Maybe,
using the
yeah.
2002 algorithm. So
Yeah. It's,
besides speed, what are some of the other web vitals we should be concerned about with as business owners?
you want to look at your current traffic before you even start an audit. You got to know a business owner that has a website and should know how many people they get to their website a month right now, because that sets up all the other aspects of SEO, like on page, off page, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And a lot of, not to say that people don't know, there's a lot of people don't want to know, because collectively 60% of all active websites get less than 10 visits a month. 60% of the world. That's huge, right? All you need to get SEO working is one visit, because then that gives you an idea of where they came from. After that, you can build to 10 to 100 to 200. So a lot of people don't want to know. A lot of people don't even know what they rank for. They don't know their keywords. They don't know how many backlinks they have. So a technical audit is more or less, in a basic nutshell, how fast is the website and what is it that you currently have right now?
So at 2:45 today, you're going to tell us all how good the Tech Alley website
It's
is.
pretty good. I'll be honest. It's actually, from a speed standpoint, it's a very, very well laid out website. The current state could use a little work, but again, Tech Alley is a community website, right? It brings people together. It's not selling a product. It's not selling a service. So immediately, 2 out of the 3 search intent ideas for keywords are out of the page. Transactional and commercial. So all the keywords for Tech Alley are all informational, which is what it's supposed to be. And most of them are branded, which means they've ranked for the actual word Tech Alley, right? You're just building on there. And actually, you are on their keyword list as well.
Am I?
Yeah.
Look at
You're-
me.
You're ranked first page on Tech Alley's website for your name.
I don't think I'm ranked first page for my name on my own website. No, I wouldn't have known that unless you looked at me that way. All right.
That's a different discussion, Jason.
Well, we are due for a meeting. We'll talk
I know,
about
I
that.
know. Anyway.
Now that things are slowing down, CES week was
I
a
bet you it was
busy
nuts.
week.
I
So
bet
it
you it
was
was
so
nuts.
much fun, but yes, definitely nuts. Anything else you want to leave us with before we let you go get ready for your talk?
If you're around here and you want to hear about what a SEO audit is about and the generals of it, and I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to motivate you to understand that this is important stuff, and I'm here to help you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And be back here next month.
All right. And if you're already convinced that you need a tech audit for your website, where can they find you to do that tech audit?
SEOexpertlasvegas.com. If you put that into Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, I'll be showing up on there. Send me an email, send me a like, comment, or share, and I'll be sure to help you out.
And if you are in Las Vegas today and this sounds like something you need, come on down to Eric's Talk 245. What room are you in?
155.
155. So it's the building across the street here from Taverna Costera, our sponsors for the day, corner of Charleston and Maine. Love to have you down here. Come see Eric's Talk. Eric, thanks for joining
No
us.
problem.
We'll see you soon.
All right, we'll see you.
Yeah. We got the guy. Not the guy behind the guy. Not the guy behind the guy behind the guy. If you're a Gen Xer like me, you know that reference. Anybody else, you probably don't. Before or after Gen X, you probably don't understand that reference. Go ahead, have a seat.
Before or after Gen X, what?
Before we did a guy behind the guy behind the guy reference, and so if you're a Gen Xer, you know that's a reference from the movie Swingers.
Swingers.
If you're a boomer or anybody after a Gen Xer, you probably have never seen that movie and don't care. So Josh Levitt, what's going on?
Nothing much. Another great day at Tech Alley.
Yeah.
You know, I wore the sweater, right? You look at the temperature and it's like 42 degrees. You're waking
know.
up and you're like, oh,
I
it's
had,
gonna
no
be rough.
I had no idea it was going to be so nice
But
today down
Vegas,
here.
right? Yeah. 50, 60 degrees, no wind. It just is the perfect time to be outside.
It really is a beautiful day here.
Yeah.
We got a nice one for this Tech Alley. For those of you who've never been, Part of it's outdoors. We do the networking outdoors. We have coffee. We have lunch outdoors. It's been a perfect day. This is kind of how we want to do Tech Alley, right? Sunny, no wind, 60 degrees. Our cameras aren't overheating, all that good stuff.
I'm going to curse this, and I say this all the time, so it hasn't happened yet. But when I chose like the third Saturday of the month to host Tech Alley, it's like the best weather.
Always.
The third Saturday I've learned through this whole experience is the best Saturday and weather-wise, because you've been there. We've had even that one time we had that hurricane. Was it Hurricane Hillary or something?
Whatever it was.
And it was coming in and it was raining beforehand, and then that third Saturday, beautiful freaking weather.
Yep.
And then 6 o'clock the rain started coming again. So we got lucky.
Someone likes Tech Alley.
Or at least they like the third Saturday.
Yeah, or the third Saturday of the month. Maybe it's not us. Maybe it's just the third Saturday. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Tech Alley, Eric is doing an audit of your Tech Alley website as part of his talk today. So,
Yes.
so you're ready to get the good news, bad news from that?
Oh, 100%, right? SEO makes a difference between, being seen and not being seen. Even in my other company, Zach, Gonzalez, which is a business partner,
Yep.
phenomenal job with SEO, and he monitors that, uses strategies, and it is a full-time gig in some ways.
And you must have been doing something right with that SEO, because you guys had a real busy week last week with CES in town, didn't you?
Oh yeah, and on the fly, strategies we put together, and CES is quite an experience for. I think Vegas, but for Intagli, which is my other company.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about Intagli and tell everybody why it was so crucial to CES that you guys were here and available last week.
So Intagli is a platform that connects people that need 3D printing to those in the community with 3D printers, like Rideshare does, right, with riders and drivers.
Right.
So,
a lot of startups, when they pitch investors, say we're the Uber of whatever our thing is.
Yeah.
And they're not really, but you guys really are the Uber of 3D printing.
So it's funny you say this, because I was using that line, right, when I was just talking about that, and Kurt Walker, who's got my money, invited me to like a pitch to a pool event, and it was a Shark Tank style thing. I didn't need money, but I thought I better start practicing. At least.
Sure.
I went there and I said, "We are the Uber of 3D printing," and they ripped me to
every investor rolls their eyes because everybody says it and doesn't really mean it.
Right.
But you guys do.
Yeah, and so I mean I took it to, I didn't take it. I mean I took it as this really good criticism. I wasn't too upset, and but I worked on my pitch after that, and I got rid of the Uber, right?
Yeah.
And tried to explain it in a better way that they could understand, because I think they got stuck on okay, so why are you like Uber? And the next pitch event I did, I won.
Yeah.
So that blunt criticism in real time helps out tremendously.
Investors are over being told something is the Uber of something else
because they can associate it. I mean, like, we know the history of Uber.
So this is a lesson I learned when I was like briefing generals when I was in the Air Force. Is give them enough information to come up with that on their own. And then let them feel smart. Like, oh, you guys are the Uber of 3D printing. Let them say it. You don't need to say it.
Right, 100%. And so so we connect people that need 3D printing to those in the community with 3D printers, and it's a fantastic concept. One, because we get rid of we're streamlining the value chain or the supply chain, because one of the biggest problems you have is that shipping, right? I hate shipping because, one, you lose control of that package, and and two, there's a cost associated with that.
Right.
But if we use people within that local area to do the 3D printing, so you're in Salt Lake and you do with something, an operator.
Why would I carry a box of stuff?
Yeah, and so the getting from point A to point B, from manufacturing to client, is quick and cheap, and we control it, right? So it's disrupting that space, but overall, the whole focus was, let's build entrepreneurs in the community, and we're doing that. We're working with libraries so that they don't have to provide 3D printing, that people in their community can provide 3D printing for them, so they don't have to spend any more money, and it's a comparative advantage type of thing. Let them do what they do best. Let people in the community do.
Absolutely.
And then I'm a big fan of Rich Dad Poor Dad, where he said everything is a liability till it's making you money, then it's an asset.
Yep.
So now you have all these hobbyists that have 3D printers that were doing some really cool stuff, but are looking for work, and now they can use their appliance.
They're looking to justify to their wife why they spent all their money on this 3D printer, or their spouse, I should say. They're looking to justify to their spouse why they spent all this money on this 3D printer, and now as someone who is a partner with Intagli, connected up with Intagli, when they're not using their 3D printer for their own project, they can be making money printing other people's
Oh yeah,
projects.
100%. And a lot of 3D printing is I stick it in the slicer of the machine and it prints for 16 hours,
Yeah,
right? So it's you know, you're
Yeah.
not really physically working for 16 hours.
Right.
You're just making sure that first layer is good. You go, okay, I think
but you're getting 16 hours worth of use out of your 3D printer that
And
you wouldn't
money.
be getting,
Yeah.
and money that's paying for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
operation's
yeah,
use.
yeah.
So, why were you guys so busy during CES week last week?
So, you know, believe it or not, our very first customer was a CES. This is 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
B2C customer was a CES exhibitor who had forgotten a crucial piece
Mm-hmm.
to their exhibit and was in a rush. Like, we need to get this done real quick. And our platform, we got a call. We weren't even advertising it, and we were able to get it out to an operator. They printed it. It was delivered next day to the CES, and they were happy. I think
Yep.
I think they paid $12 for it or something like
Yeah.
that. They were willing to pay $500.
Yeah,
for it.
$12, and you saved their booth, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, and think about it. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars to have an exhibit.
Yeah.
At,
Yeah, it's not
CES.
cheap. It's not cheap, and we're like some of the, there are booths that are barely bigger than what we're doing right here, and that's still kind of expensive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I talked to a lot of startups last week when I was there who spent a lot of money in those booths, but it was worth it, and the ROI is great
Oh, yeah,
for the
yeah,
number
yeah.
of people that come by your booth at
Yeah, yeah.
CES. But you go into CES, and especially if you go into the main hall, sometimes there are exhibits that are big as buildings.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And if you're missing that one piece that holds up like your big, 4K display,
Oh,
that's-
yeah,
or your it's important to your demo,
Yeah, yeah.
that's I mean, your ROI is all gone.
Yeah, and if I remember right, this was just a connector piece, right? So it wasn't that big. And so we're like, okay, this is really fascinating. So we looked at, that market, and the next year CES came, and we were able to solve a few people's problems, same sort of situation.
Yep.
And this time we said, all right, we're really going to ensure that we're attacking, this
Mhm.
experience. And so we had the right type of message that, that was out there. And we did everything from emergency, we have a new idea and we need to get it up and running by tomorrow, to we forgot something or what have you. And yeah, it was just insane, immediate printing. And here's the beauty about it is it's twice the work. So and what I mean by this is, if you have something that needs to be done tomorrow and you're 3D printing, the failure rate's pretty common, right?
Yep.
You're in the middle of the 10-hour print, something happens,
Yep.
and it fails. So we always have two operators that are doing the print at the same time.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
At least if one fails, you have that opportunity,
That's interesting.
because you don't have the luxury of going, well, failed, I better start my 18-hour print again,
Yep.
right? You got to get it out there. So it's costly because you have more people doing the same. You're duplicating it. Some people get twice the product, and others, maybe they get one, but at least they got that one on time, and it saved their experience and so on. But yeah, we did that, but we also opened up our platform to the entire country, and so we've been taking orders all around the country, constantly doing prototyping development now.
Yep.
Focusing on just-in-time manufacturing. And that's the beauty of Intagli, is one, there's no startup cost, right? So if you need something, a lot of one thing printed, you don't have to go to a manufacturer and say, all right, let's build the model. It's going to cost $10,000 down payment. No, you just give us the model. We spread it across our network of 3D printers,
Right.
and we can knock that product
Yeah,
out
you can
very,
you
very
can, you can
fast.
produce, if you need to produce 100 of them,
Yeah.
you can produce them all over the country, and
Yeah.
then it's just a matter of, okay, how are we going to make sure all these come in together?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or maybe that doesn't even matter that they all come in together, right?
Yeah.
So you positioned yourself really great from a marketing perspective for CES. Are you doing that with other trade shows in Vegas?
We're permanent at that now. There's so many that come out. So we are getting orders from,
That's most of your Vegas work is doing that trade show
it's
stuff.
people coming in to Vegas and saying, it'd be cheaper instead of bringing our equipment if you guys would just
Absolutely
do this for us.
Yeah.
Or we're coming in and we need this, and again, it gives us a month, and we go, yeah, of course, let's get that done.
Yep.
And we'll, when they arrive, their product will be here created, for them. There's no shipping of.
Yeah,
of anything.
it's just like anything. If you're not from Las Vegas, you're not familiar with the convention industry. Like all these giant booths in the convention industry,
yeah.
most of these companies got hip about 20 years ago. They don't buy these locally to where they're from and then ship them out here and
Yeah.
then put these together. They hire a Las Vegas company to do the design, build the displays, come to the convention hall, set it up, and then your salespeople or your exhibitors come in and it's all already set up for them. and they just hit the ground running.
Yeah, 100%. They can find every product area. And I think what's really neat is Ben, who does, the Tech.Vegas and all that.
Mhm.
I think it was him that was, going to create some sort of directory or something.
Yep. He's
'Cause
working
I was
on that.
surprised there wasn't one. One of the things we reached out, we figured we'd reach out to the convention center and say, hey, here's what we do and here's what we provide for your clients. But we were told now that they wouldn't be interested in promoting that, right? So it's good that if it was, I think it was Ben, creating a directory on something.
Yeah, it's typical Vegas story. Something you assume is there
Yeah.
has never been there.
Yeah.
So
So Intagly's been keeping us quite busy. We're learning a lot from this, but it just means that we're going to do better at streamlining it and making sure the clients are happy.
sounds like you were well on your way, and it sounds like you're on the path to scaling. So
It is. I mean, the platform itself works really well. No one has to take part of it, but the project management side is what we're working on. But
Yep.
Every day you go to bed, you go, just don't screw this up, Josh. Don't screw. You're onto something really, really well. And we're still working with the libraries, so we're still getting
that's
those folks
fantastic.
as
So that's how this all started, was working with the libraries,
well.
right?
The concept was, let's promote entrepreneurism and make it so that if anybody has an idea, they can at least create it. And I visited all those libraries. No one had 3D printers, or no one was even using them. And we thought, well, why don't we? Eventually came down to, why don't we use people in the community to do 3D printing for the libraries? That way, that's what we heard, is librarians weren't using because they're complicated, and people
Right.
weren't using them because they're complicated, and so they were just sitting in the corner. And then there was like this age restriction because they were provided by grants. So
Okay.
it was like high schoolers or teenagers, and I was going, well, how do we build a community where a fourth grader could go there?
Right.
And create this culture of, all right, I have this idea, I can go to my library, which is this trusted source of knowledge place, and I can now, actually physically see and leverage, use my product, or it'll solve a problem. Or, as I would always explain, if a fourth grader was building a Lego set and was missing a piece, they could at least print it up.
Yeah.
And that's just the culture, because I think that STEM education is really trying to create people that can say, hey, can we do this better, and then execute on that. And why not complement that type of education by actually making it so that they can?
Giving them opportunities to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And encouraging them, hey, if you've got something you want to do, if you got a project you want to do,
Yeah.
like, let's encourage you to do that. And then after you've done that and gone, that was really fun, we go, we tricked you into doing STEM.
And I'm stuck on the library. I mean, the business is doing good with the B2C, just-in-time manufacturing, B2B stuff. But I am stuck on, I want this to be part of library systems, because not only does it do what I said with the dream of making it so that 3D printing is simple and easy and available for everybody, but it's creating this little ecosystem within that community, this manufacturing ecosystem, where the library has a need. They want to provide a service of 3D printing so that they can promote, creativity and STEM and so on. You got the manufacturing side with people with the gig manufacturing side.
Yeah.
Right? This is Industry 4.0, right? Type of idea, where it's a distributed manufacturing, and then you have the people that have a need that want to create something. So it all feeds into it, and the money stays within the community itself. So it's really cool, man.
Yeah, we want to get those 3D printers at libraries. We want those smoking 24/7. We want those going. So
Oh yeah.
So if you've got a project, check out your local library, and I'm sure if anyone can figure out how to do that matching up, whether it's with Intagly or some sister product, it'll be you guys.
Well, we need help, right? There's so many library districts out
Yep.
there, and here's the problem: is I don't think library districts know that they, they're busy, right? They're doing
library
and
stuff.
of course. And so, the idea of let me put brainpower time around this new innovation that someone's telling me about. I mean, I don't know the best way to say it, but it's like anything. We're telling you, hey, there's this better way when you're not even looking for it. They're not even
Right.
looking for a solution on this. Anybody that has is a trusted in those library districts and can sort of say, hey, listen, there's this cool product out there that can really save you time, because now you don't have to put resources toward 3D printing, and you don't have to buy any equipment, but you can expand and scale your entire 3D printing to the community without spending any money, and involve the community in that process. I mean, it's like Tech Alley, right? Tech Alley, I always say, is a community-run event. I don't give the content. I just secure the space. Libraries can do the same thing. They just provide that link to a resource that will do the work for them.
You enabled people to bring their expertise and their knowledge and their genius to Tech Alley and share it.
Yeah.
And you enable people with our great sponsors here at Taverna Costera. You enable people to network and get to know each other. And it's had real impacts on the community over the last 3.5 years as you've done it. There are things going on right now. We've talked about Tarby Bryant's Gathering of Angels, Las Vegas Equity Capital Symposium.
Yeah.
I don't think Tarby brings this to town without the benefits we've gained from Tech Alley. If you hadn't done Tech Alley, I don't think this is happening in Las Vegas.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because at the time there really wasn't anything going on. COVID hit it anyway, but
Yep.
the whole thought was let's actually. I mean, I use a lot of terms to try to sell the idea of the Tech Alley, but one of the things I talked to the city about, I said, you're doing a good job of bringing people to Vegas with this work here remotely campaign. I said, but how are you going to keep them? You have to have a culture. You have to have a community that's going to entice folks to stay here. And I love that Tarby's here and that Kurt's doing what he's doing, and that Vegas is on fire with activity. I love that that's happening, and people are hearing it outside of just the valley.
And I don't think all the great things that Kurt is doing and Tarby is doing, and the people they bring and show them Tech Alley, and then the people who come back and bring other people to Tech Alley, and we get this kind of critical mass and flywheel turning of people coming to Tech Alley and working with each other and building relations, starting companies. At Tech Alley. I don't think a lot of that happened without Tech Alley.
Yeah, well, I think that's a problem with having everybody meeting separately. But the secret was bring everybody together.
Yep.
And now you have a whole lot of different knowledge sets and personalities and whatever.
Yeah. Now we just need to get people to stop scheduling their meetings, their meetups at the same time, but one thing at a time. You did Tech Alley. We're starting to get more meetups and more people trying to do stuff in town.
I think it's great.
And so one step at a time. But yeah, we got to stop scheduling everything at the same time, guys. So we're 3.5 years of Tech Alley. It's had an amazing impact on the community. This is our first Tech Alley of 2025. What's exciting? What's new today in today's Tech Alley?
Well, we've been pushing the idea of how can we provide resources to people outside of the events. So the whole focus is on doing like you call it a business association, whatever you want, but you have those tools to continue with the finding your co-founder, bringing your idea to market, connecting with other folks. So we redesigned the Tech Alley website for that piece. Now it's about creating activity on that site. It was Caleb Green. I don't know if he was on this the show.
He wasn't on today. He's been on before, but we didn't have him on yet today.
He introduced himself as the attorney, in residence or whatever. And I'm like, that's a cool idea that he said like that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that now instead of having a whole variety. Right now it's just superstars and has everybody that's ever participated. Let's actually start defining who these residents are that are going to be active and sharing their knowledge and people can actually go to and stuff. So we're gonna work on that. But what I love about Tech Alley, what I love about it being a nonprofit, is that I don't have to go to shareholders and say, here's how much money we made. I go to my board and say, here's all the cool stuff that we've done.
Yep.
And so I want to hear really innovative ideas and new solutions, so we can we can try to implement it and see if we can shake things up and accelerate Vegas and take a start of scenes in other areas to be something that's never been before.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about Tech Alley is my experience has been whenever anyone comes and says, I want to do something at Tech Alley, the answer is always yes. Like when we came to you with this 6 months ago, you're like, yes, let's do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Well, do you need it? Nope, just go do it.
Yeah. And I don't know how much time I have, but
we got all the time. We always have all the time you need, Josh.
I somewhat associated to this, right? I worked for a big bank, and I was system engineering and whatever, and they had a culture. I wouldn't say culture, but a habit of saying no to everything, right? Hey, someone would go, hey, I got this really cool idea.
The Air Force was the same way.
And you go, nah, it's terrible, right? Yeah. And there was this one guy that came to me once, and this is back when backups were on tapes and stuff, and he goes, Josh, I got this really cool idea. Why don't we just pull the hard drives? I mean, these are hot swappable hard drives. Back them up and pull them out, and that's where we store them. I was like, in my mind, I was going, that's a terrible idea, right? But I thought, what do I know? Maybe this is a brilliant idea, and I just can't conceive it. And so I went, you know what? let me connect you with the next person in line for pushing that idea. I have no, I don't know if it ever went beyond that, but I made a commitment. I said, never going to say no. I'm going to say, let me see how I can help you, do whatever. I mean, the guy may maybe be a billionaire because he, his idea came back 10 years later, was being implemented. So I like that. I don't like hitting brick walls. I say, let's try something. Why not? Let's see what occurs. And, you're smart and a lot of other folks are here smart. You can make it work. Right?
Yeah. It was one of the biggest lessons I learned in the Air Force was in a world where everyone is saying no because they're unsure, it's different, it's new. It's much more valuable if the question you ask yourself is not yes or no. The question is, how do we get to yes? What would we have to do to make this work? Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to what are all the reasons it won't work? What would we have to do to make this work?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that moves the ball forward.
And Tagly was built off of no. How I came to the way Tech Alley platform is today was all built because people were telling me that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And so you had to go, no, let me figure this out, right?
Yeah,
This
what will work?
And I have it. I took a picture of it where I was pitching this because originally I just wanted libraries to have access to 3D printers, and I knew that they weren't being able to provide it well, because of the resources and so on. And so I was pitching this to a college, and I was like, here's this idea. You could do the printing for the libraries, right? You had this maker space, and you had the staff and these big 3D printers. And I was pitching it, and I was writing on the wall, and they were like, no. And I was like, no worries, we can get past this. No. And eventually, they said it's going to cost too much money. It's going to have too much people. And I said, well, why don't you cluster this? Why don't you partner with somebody else to do it? And I went, why don't you Uberify it?
Yeah, Uber become the Uber of 3D printing.
And I circled that idea, took a picture of it, and I brought it to Tech Alley and said, this is this concept.
Yep.
And then it went from there.
And the rest is history.
That's it.
So what's we talked a little bit about Tech Alley Henderson, and that's exciting. That's coming up. The January edition of that's coming up January 29th. So if you're in the Vegas area, you weren't able to join us today, come on down to Water Street in Henderson on January 29th. It's a Wednesday evening, I believe.
Yeah.
And come on down and join us for a very similar program of what we're doing here today.
Yeah. Oh, and what Lorraine, who runs that chapter, is doing is fantastic.
Yeah, we had a great talk. We had a great Zoom call a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cool. And, the reason why they went to Henderson because there wasn't any activity, but now look at it, right?
Yep.
She's starting to attract other meetups. So she had to kind of create the content because there wasn't any activity. But now the meetups are starting to go to her and say, hey, I'd like to host my session with you. And so once that occurs, then I think you're gonna see a replication of what we did in Vegas. Yeah, so that's exciting for her. I'm really excited that she's part of Tech Alley. I learned things from what she's doing, and
Vegas.
The best thing that I can do is just stay out of the way.
Vegas is such a funny place because people pitch these amazing ideas, and everybody's like, "Nah, that'll never work," or "I don't." Like, hey, do you want to partner on this? I don't want to partner on this. But if you just go do your thing, and you invite some key people, and you start to build a little bit, all of a sudden people start coming and go, wait, why weren't we invited to this? We want to be part of this. And that's just how it works here. Is you got to go do your thing, and then let other people come along and go, wait, why did you go to them? Why didn't you go to us? And don't bother to remind them you did go to them. Just tell them, oh, you can be, you want to be part of this? Be part of this.
Well,
okay. Cool, man. We'll see you. No, it'll be awesome. Thanks for joining us. To everybody who's watching, Dave Berlin, my excellent co-host for today. He's got to bounce. He's got another event to go to. But thank you, Dave, for joining us. Thank you for helping us with the setup. Thank you for doing some of the interviews. Really appreciate everything you do. So reach out to Dave Berlin. Dave means business. I think he's just Dave Berlin on Instagram. Find him there. You'll find him the rest of the way. But,
you know what's cool is I think I met Dave like 2018, maybe 2000.
Sounds about right. That's about when he got to town.
Yeah, and I was running a coding school right across the way over here, and we're trying to come up with like new ideas for attracting new students, potential students, and so on. And he did a whiteboard session. Came in and we that's how we met each other. Was from him talking through ideas with us.
Yeah, he's an amazing community builder. Has years and years of experience and just how to set something up to get people interested in it.
And it's cool that we stayed friends for so long.
Yeah, well, this community is tight. That's what's been great about it is as it's grown, we've added people, but it's everyone stays tight. So
It's a small community in a very rapidly growing
Yeah.
city. You know?
so it's been great, and Tech Alley's been a huge part of that.
I
So-
appreciate everything you say.
So
and
lot of-
everything you do too.
Lots of great stuff. Well, it's my pleasure to be able to bring this every month. I'm always grateful that we show up every month and you're like, yeah, we still want you to do this. So
Anytime, yeah.
so happy to do it. So Tech Alley Henderson, lots of great stuff going on there. Anything coming up in the coming months for Tech Alley? We're coming up on the 4th anniversary in a few months.
know.
Anything exciting that you're adding to Tech Alley, or should we just stay tuned?
Stay tuned. I would really love that we were part of that Startup Awards.
So great.
I want to see that turn into something where, right now we have the luxury of Fusion 42 and Kurt having a relationship and seeing these startups, grow and a really good sense of, all right, who's actually making it and who's not, right?
Mhm.
You go to some of these award events and it seems like, it's someone wrote a really nice summary of what they do, and then a panel kind of gets together and goes, I really like what they said,
Yep.
but not really understanding what kind of startup they are,
Yeah.
right? And some of them, or even some businesses, and some of them they win, you're like, I don't know, is that really a startup, or
Mhm.
is that really, But to actually bring in validation of, yes, you are doing it, and we're going to recognize,
Yep.
what you're doing. You are a top startup, or you are a community, builder, or what have you. Is, I think, the right way to recognize folks.
Yeah, it was a great event. It was so much fun to kind of run the red carpet, going in and coming out and talking to people
Yeah,
before
yeah.
and after the event. I hope next year we can capture a little more of the actual event itself,
Yeah.
and get that going out, streaming live and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Congratulations to the winners. I'm glad to be part of that. But again, that's one of those things where, like, let's just do it. right?
yeah, it was great. It
Yeah.
was great. It's long overdue, and I'm glad you and Kurt put that together. So
Yeah, well, appreciate it. So, we'll see what happens. I can't wait till the third, it's going to be the 4th year at that point. And
yeah, coming up on the 4th anniversary of Tech Alley.
But
so-
it's all going to be about how can we connect people on the back end and not just during events.
Yep.
All right.
So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Good to see you.
It's been
Thanks
a
so much.
pleasure.
Yeah. Appreciate everything you do.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm looking. I don't think we've got anybody else waiting in the queue to come talk to you. So I think we're gonna wrap it up. Always great to talk to Josh Levitt. Thank you to all of our guests today. Thank you to Taverna Costera for hosting us, being so gracious, letting us take over part of their restaurant. It is always amazing to work with them. They are so gracious. They are so helpful. They are so kind to us and do a great job supporting us and putting up with everything we do here when we come bring you this stream. So thank you to all of our guests. Thank you to Dave Berlin for the co-hosting. That is really all I think we're going to bring you today. So we're going to wrap it up here for Live from Tech Alley, January 2025. Please keep tuning in. Please reach out to our guests. Thank them for joining us. If you want to reach out to me, always happy. Slide into my DMs. I don't mind. So reach out. Thanks for joining us. Onward and upward.